All right. Looks like we're live. I'll give people a couple of minutes
Yeah,
to
give it a
get on
few
there.
minutes because I didn't get notification yet.
Yeah, I know. I got to do the intro and all that. Mute. All right. Let me go ahead and do intro music, and then we'll get into why we've summoned you all here. So here we go. All right, everybody, welcome to the MLH channel. This is a special impromptu panel. I'm calling this one, well, actually, Ellie named it Colorado Police Strike Again. On the panel with me is Ellie. Let me welcome everybody in chat first. Matthew, Jen, Road Dogs, um, Press Harder's up in the hizzy. What's up, Press Harder? Joko Keeper, what's up? Nice to have you here. Matthew the King. And I think that's everybody. And, we'll give you guys warm welcomes as you come in.
Well, let me say hello to some of our friends. There's DJ K Dot, Keeper, Matthew the King, Joko, Jen, Press Harder, King Bluto, Road Dogs. I don't think I missed anybody. I think that's everybody.
Yeah, I think Harry Nuts just joined. What's up, Harry? If you notice the echo, it's definitely on Ellie's part here.
Well, maybe because Ellie's really ticked off right now. So,
right.
You know.
Okay. Mute for
hey, Harry Nuts.
Mute just for a second, Ellie. Okay. So, Ellie is ticked off, and I'm ticked off. And as soon as K Dot hears about this story, K Dot's going to be ticked off because this is it's becoming out of control. What's going on in Colorado in general? I mean, I know we have our issues with Denver and Aurora; those are the two big major culprits. But the Denver metro area is wide. The state of Colorado is wide. So there's definitely other issues. Now, I'm gonna bring Ellie in here, and I'm gonna try not to talk because when I talk when she's unmuted, there's gonna be a little bit of an echo. But Ellie brought this to our attention. Ellie, thanks for joining the panel. What did you want to say about what we're going to be talking about? What's up, Lucky?
Okay, so we actually had a panel. Was that yesterday or the day before? I forget.
Day before, I want to say.
The day before. And it's weird that this story comes out when there were some topics that we were discussing, as far as we were talking about Elijah McClain's verdict, and I had said that you can't jump to it being that being racist, but there was definitely police force. I don't generally jump to something like that, and this isn't one of those cases that I'm going to claim was racism. This is one of those cases where we talked about how they pass around bad cops from place to place yet again, and then try to cover up for officer safety yet again. So unfortunately, someplace in Colorado, about an hour away from where MLH is, another resident has died for a very bad crime that he was shot and killed by Colorado police. And the horrendous crime that he was guilty of, and by guilty, I use that word loosely because he was not guilty as far as being charged with a crime. He was not arrested. He did not go in front of a judge or a jury of his peers. He went into a Family Dollar store. Now, that necessarily was not his crime on why he was shot dead. The reason that he was unalived by Colorado police was because they thought that he had, and I joke you not, a unprofessional paint job on his car.
Mm-hmm.
On his car, people. So what brought this to the police's attention? Well, They said that he was double parked, which is a lie, and the mainstream media continues reporting with this lie that he was double parked. You do not double park when you are parked between where you're overlapping into the other lane when you're in a private parking lot, like a grocery store or whatever, a mall, and you have the line so you know your stall. When
Yeah.
you take up more than one stall because you're over the line, that is not called double parking.
Right.
Okay, that is called straddling the line. And
Right.
it is not a crime in any state. It's just a dick move to do.
Right. Mute for
Right.
just a second, Ellie.
Okay.
Mute for just a second. I want to welcome Lawless in. Nice to have you in here, Ghost Rider and Harry Nuts and Lucky225 and also Liberty Blair. Welcome on in. Keeper, this is not hot tub hour tonight, so no naughty talk tonight. John Eagle, welcome. Nice to have you in chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Matthew the King. Okay, so what Ellie was talking about, and it's why I have at the bottom here, what do you consider double parking? All right, because the mainstream media is picking up this story. Jonathan Mazzilli, welcome. Nice to have you here as well. We're talking about a person that was murdered, okay? And Ellie and I mean, she said unalived. Let's just cut to the chase here. This guy was murdered, okay?
Absolutely murdered.
So let's set this up, Ellie. Do you want to set this up or do you want me?
I will. I will.
Right,
Okay.
go ahead.
So this poor gentleman decides to, live in the state of Colorado. That's his first mistake. Or I shouldn't say living. He had an out-of-state plate, so visiting. But they did not know that he had an out-of-state plate because he was backed into his spot. So they needed to get out of their vehicle. So the first thing, because, it's very vicious in Colorado, those people who straddle parking. I mean, I tell you, somebody must have just pee-peed in this guy's Cheerios because he was mad. So here, there were two officers involved. One was training, and this is very important. One was training, and the other officer, the one who murdered him, the victim, was on for 3 whole days. This was this was his third day. So he only had 2 completed shifts. And then this was his third one, and he was mad. So he decides to get out, and he can smell the paint. Ooh, it has to have something to hide. So they look, and listen, the paint job from afar looks okay, but when you look up close, it's not great. So I don't know what the crime's going to be charged with the shop who did the paint job.
Yeah.
But you will see that they get out, they look at it, they run his plates without even talking to him. They run his plates. Nothing bad comes back. So they're pondered. What should they do? Mm-hmm. So the new officer says, well, we could tow away his vehicle because he's double parked, which is, you'll see the video, not double parked. Not, I repeat, not double parked. So he doesn't know what he's talking about. He says, or we could be nice. I quote the word could. So there goes to show that they have a choice that they selectively make. Should we or should we not be nice to the citizen?
Yeah.
And he says we could put a sticker on his window with a 72-hour notice. Mm-hmm. And then his training officer says, or option number 3, I could pull up the cruiser and block him in, and then we could go in and talk to him. So they decide that's a great idea, and they giggle like little schoolgirls.
Yeah.
Okay. It happened in LaSalle, Ghost Rider. So they giggle like little schoolgirls. That's what we're going to do. We're going to block them in, and then we're going to go in to find out who it is. And of course, they talk to an employee, and she says, no, it's none of the employees. And she's like, well, how long's he been out there? And, because I'm not aware of it. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Couldn't be long, maybe just a few minutes. But he has no idea either. So then they decide, well, this is earth shattering, right? I mean, all of you would dial 911, I'm sure, with this emergency. So they decide to, one go one way and one go the other, and search this vicious criminal out for a bad paint job. And for what they call double parking, which is not. And then why don't we just go ahead and watch the video and let everybody see exactly what happened.
Yes.
Yes.
Before I get to that, I'm sorry I muted you, Ellie. I just want to get to King Bluto's comment here. He said, I saw that video, and how does that cop know he's a body expert by smelling paint if it's a fresh paint job or not? Where did you go to Auto Body Automotive School at? That's a great point. We will get into it, Bluto. Razor City, welcome. Kip LA, nice to have you in here, buddy. And let's see, Razor City. There was someone else. Kip LA, Razor City. I think I got everybody else. If I forgot to mention you, I do apologize. I'm gonna mute you, Ellie. Hang on. There are a myriad of issues that we are going to cover in this particular case because it's all egregious. And we will definitely talk about it. But without further ado,
Wait a second. I want to address one other comment, please. Who was it? It was Lucky227 says, so the only people double parking were the cops themselves. Actually, they didn't double park. They false imprisoned him.
Yeah.
Because you had no reason to do that. He was not even in front of the store. He was parked on the side of the building. Maybe perhaps because he just got his car painted. That would be a good reason to do that. But they intentionally blocked him in, meaning that they set that up. But it gets so much worse. So, Emily, when I ask you to stop the video, you're going to have to stop it because I'm really heated at this one.
Right. This is a bad one for sure. So, press harder. That's what I missed. Welcome on into chat. So without further ado, we are okay. I can show this video up to a point, but I don't want to get any strikes for violence or anything like that because unfortunately, the person died from the 4 gunshot wounds. So I will play it up to a certain
5:40
point.
is where you got to stop it.
Yeah, I'll stop at about 5 minutes. It's about a 5-minute video, so bear with us, guys. And there will be sound, I think. So, at a
It's on.
I want to point out you can see that the windows are down somewhat too. That's going to be important for later.
I do have pictures of that too that we can show later.
Okay.
Cherokee Nation, Oklahoma. I'll go to clearance. Dispatch by cell, 865 clearance. Can you clear a Oklahoma plate?
That's fresh paint too. That's roll on.
I can smell it.
He can smell it, everybody.
I was just about ready to say he's an expert at smelling the paint, like Bluto pointed out.
And you heard that he said that it was Oklahoma plates.
See anything in there?
Look, they're already looking in there. They see a blanket, nothing else.
Those dastardly blankets, Ellie, they'll get you. The blankets.
Well, I'm telling you, maybe they liked it and they were jealous. I mean, it was from Oklahoma, so maybe they didn't have the Denver Broncos and they were upset. I mean, I don't know. That's enough to take somebody to jail, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, having an Oklahoma Sooner thing maybe pissed them off. I don't know.
If you notice, nothing better to do than to look at this guy's vehicle. Notice how far the cruiser is back from that vehicle right now.
Copy. We'll get you a VIN.
So you do see a little paint on the windshield, and you can tell that it's not great on the hood. Again, vicious crime.
I mean, I don't think there's any worse crime than a bad paint job, right? I mean, that goes without saying.
They're asking you to full screen it.
That's as good as it gets, everybody.
What does it come back on?
Nothing. It's like, doesn't come back to nothing.
Okay, stop it for a second.
That's what he said.
Okay.
Right there, the officer said, how does it come back? And he says it came back with nothing. So nothing wrong. No warrants, no stolen plate, nothing. But that's not enough for these officers. So now they conspire. So let's
Well,
get to the good part of conspiring because, oh, and if you notice again, I want to point this out. You saw how the car was parked. This is not double parking. Is it a dick move to park in two spots? Sure. But you know what? There was plenty of parking out front and on the other side. The guy was out back, not bothering anybody, just didn't want anybody near his car. Nothing wrong with that, probably because he just got it painted. It looks like a new car to me. So, he's not doing anything wrong by parking there. I mean, I could see if it was Christmas time or at the mall. But even then, I want to point out, and I did look it up, it is not illegal in any state to be a douchebag
Right.
and straddle parking.
Right.
Okay. Now, the only time, that cops can do anything about it is if it's on a municipal parking, if it's on street parking and they're taking up more than one spot, or a government parking. But this is private property. In order to do anything with private property, they would have to have that posted along with who authorized them to do that, tell you the tow company, the hours, and a contact number. So none of that is posted anywhere. So there is nothing wrong with how the guy parked. He's not bothering anybody.
Yeah. Let me quickly address some things in chat. Ghostwriter, you can make that assumption, but there have been myriad of instances where the police officer punched in the number wrong on the VIN number or plate number and fucked up that way. Or, there's a myriad of reasons why that plate could have came back with nothing. It's not a crime. Like the crime of them coming back with nothing on a plate is not a crime at all. So,
it just means that they could have put something wrong in. Doesn't say that there's anything wrong with it. If it comes back nothing, that doesn't mean that, or how did they say it? Hold on, let me look at the chat because I misspoke with it. So hold on, let me go back to, I think it was Matthew that says very different than, to make clear, they said that they said came back nothing. As in unregistered. Well, you're assuming that because again, it all depends on how it's entered. Did they enter it with the state? Just because we know that it's Oklahoma plates doesn't mean that he told the dispatcher that. So there was no red flags to say, hey, felony at large, capture the person with this vehicle, child stolen, Amber Alert. None of this stuff was mentioned.
I want to say hey to Jason Gaudet. Welcome on in. Lawless, welcome. I don't know if I welcomed you in. Also, LA Spike, welcome. Nice to have you in here, bud. I really appreciate you all being in here. Hit that like button, like Lawless says. It does help more people get into this chat room. Let's try to get 50 people in there. That would be really, really something special. Let's continue on. Unless you had anything else, Ellie, to add before we continue.
No. We're just getting to the conspire part. This is the good part. Get your popcorn out, people.
Yeah, there's definitely conspiracy here. So.
So what are you going to do?
Two things I can do. We can, right now it's parked. Double parked. So
Again, that's not double parking. So
we got a complaint so we could tow it. Or if we wanted to be nice, leave a 72-hour.
Hold on, stop.
Right, hold on.
In this case.
Okay.
I need you to go back 5 seconds to where he lies and says that we got a complaint, we can tow it. because you will clearly see that they did not get a complaint at all. No complaint. Nobody called in. The store didn't notice it, not reported, not even in the mainstream media did they get that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody called in. But if you'll hear, he says, we got a complaint, we could tow it. No, you can't. You can't just arbitrarily go to a private parking lot and say, I'm going to tow this vehicle.
Yeah. Okay, let's listen.
We got a complaint, so we could tow it.
We got a complaint, so we can tow it. You want me to rewind that one more time?
Yep, one more time.
Double parked. So we got a complaint, so we could tow it. Or if we wanted to be nice, leave a 72-hour tag on it. We'll go that route, but in this case.
Okay, let me pause it there because this is very important too. There were two choices that they gave us, right? It's actually three. We could tow it because we got a complaint, which was not true. They're conspiring already to get a complaint. They're going to go into if things didn't play out as they were going to go in, talk to the manager and say, hey, we need you to complain about this car parked here so we can tow it out of here, right? That's exactly what they were going to do if what happened didn't happen. Or he said, we could be nice and put a sticker on it, which is untrue as well. You cannot put a sticker on a car unless you do have a complaint, right? So
now, wait a second, though. I want to point this out. The body cam that you are watching is the body cam of the murderer, the one who said we could do one of two things. And of course, he forgets. So he has to go, if you notice, he has to go back over and look to make sure he's right. And he makes up this double parking, which it's not, and says we got a complaint, we could tow it. Okay. Or we could be nice, which we knew that wasn't going to happen, and put a sticker on it, which you can't do that either. Okay. This is the guy who actually shot him. Now you're about to hear third option, number 3, which is from the training officer on what he says.
Yeah. Pause for just a second, Ellie. So all of these options are shitty in my opinion, right? So we haven't gotten to the other option, but the options so far are the sticker, which he said we could be nice. Aren't they supposed to be nice all the time? So right here, there's policy violation already without even anything going on. There's policy violation. So let's continue on. We're going to hear from.
Well, wait a second.
Yes.
Now, I want you to hear what MLH just said. He just said, and I quote, policy violation. We will soon learn that they don't consider what happened to be policy violation from the chief himself. But let's continue.
Yes. And Liberty Blair says option to leave the guy alone. What the fuck? Yeah, that wasn't an option.
Or option, you should never have bothered him to begin with. Right. Go about your day. There's plenty of criminals out there to catch. If you're only catching 5% of the criminals, then you know what? You got 95% that you're not. Shouldn't you be doing something else?
Right. Harry Nets asks, are they hold on, Ellie. Are they saying this car has been parked there for an extended period of time?
I can answer that. They absolutely are not stating that, right. Because you will hear the store owner ask that same question, Harry, and he says, no, not too long at all.
Yeah.
So you will hear him say that. That question gets answered.
Yes. Gregory, nice to have you in here. Let's continue on with the video in which the third or fourth option is being presented.
How about this? Pull the car up right in front of it and let's go see if they're inside.
I could do that. For sure.
Okay.
Well, giggle. Isn't it funny? We can just, how about this? Let me teach you something, buddy. I could just take my cruiser and block them in, which is false imprisonment.
Yes.
And then we can go in there and see what we can find out or not. So it's all set up before they even go in. Does nobody else find this totally revolting? I am like so beside myself.
Yes. I find it. Hold on. Let me. All right. It is disgusting. Okay. Liberty Blair says if he didn't violate policy, then why did the piggy get indicted? See there, that's a great point, Liberty Blair. Keeper says Ellie, so local news is useless. Not only is local news useless, Keeper, but so is lamestream big time media like CNN, who was the one, Ellie, that reported this? It was one of the big ones.
9.
No. There was another one. I think it was CNN or one of the big ones.
Oh, that was in just as a news article, not
Yeah.
as in cover, but news article, yes.
Yeah.
And they all got it wrong because I checked all the articles. They all repeat the same lie narrative with man who double parks. Okay. I would, how many people do we have in chat? Because I can't tell since I'm on the phone.
24.
We have 24 people. So everybody can see how he's parked. If you think that this man is double parked, put a 1 in chat. If you think he is what's called straddle parking and just, douchebag taking up 2 spots, put a 2 in chat for me. I want to see that real quick.
I don't necessarily think this is even douchebag straddle parking. It is straddle parking, Ellie. Hold on, let me mute you for just a second. Okay. It is straddle parking, but he's on the back side of this fucking business, so there was nobody around. Maybe he just wanted to park back there because he didn't want the new paint job that he just did with the spray can getting on other people's car, or his paint job getting fucked up to begin with. So it is definitely out of the way. It's not bothering anybody. I understand when you go to a parking lot and somebody's parked in 2 spaces, that's super irritating, but in this case, who gives a shit?
Well, exactly. I didn't say that it bothered me, but as far as, because I can't, it's not bothering me, but straddle parking in itself is what I meant as far as douchebag. With him, he's parked in behind the building, not bothering anybody, but this is not double parking at all in any stretch of the imagination. And I am looking, and help me, MLH, maybe I'm a little blind. I don't see any 1s in chat.
Yeah, I don't either.
I see nothing. So nobody in here thinks that this is double parking.
Right. I'm going to mute you for... Okay, thanks, Ellie. Ghostwriter says, I haven't viewed the raw footage yet myself. Is this release footage from LaSalle PD or another source that has edited this footage? I'm assuming this is from LaSalle. Ghostwriter, I can't be 100%. Source is 9 News, and I know they're not the most reliable people in the world. But I have to assume this is raw footage, because it does not look edited to my naked eye, and I could be wrong, Ghost, but it does not look edited in this 5-minute clip. So let's continue on. Big idea here from this guy is let's pull the cruiser right on up and falsely imprison this guy for absolutely nothing, for having a paint job that's weird and quote unquote double parking, which we determined is not double parking.
Now, and hold on, listen. This is the training officer saying this to somebody who's 3rd day on the job. If you think that the training officer didn't learn this from somebody above him that move on to block his car in, you're fooling yourself. So when I say that audits should be done by going out and auditing the higher ranked officials, this is exactly proving my point. Where did this bad behavior come from, where you can sit there and falsely imprison somebody because of their paint job or because you don't like the way they're parked? It's private property. Get off of it. You have no jurisdiction there anyway. Nobody called you.
Yeah. Let's continue on here. Doesn't that disgust everybody? That little fucking laugh. Let's just falsely imprison him.
And I do want to address that Liberty Blair said this, and I agree. I think it was a backup issue on why he straddled. Because he probably figured that he didn't really care. There was nobody else there anyway. And, listen, my backup's not as good as my going forward, obviously. Thank God for rear cameras. But, he probably really technically didn't care, which is probably why he didn't move it. Because he was just backing in and he wasn't bothering anybody. There was no, need for parking. because you'll see that when you see the cop come out the front door or even go in. You'll notice that there's plenty of parking.
Right. So let's continue on here.
Okay, so now he just blocked him in. Does anybody think this is a dangerous situation about to happen here?
Yeah.
I'm curious if anybody thinks this is it. Just put a 1 in chat if you think that this is or should be a dangerous situation.
Right.
I mean, we already know it's going to be, but
Right. But not by the persons that's in question, but by the police. It definitely becomes, and I unfortunately I can't show you guys the shooting, and nor do I want to show you guys the shooting. So here we go. I'd noticed they have a red box out in LaSalle. I haven't seen a red box in a while.
I want everybody to notice where the door is, and I want you all to see all these empty parking spaces.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were so many people shopping. There was a mass sale at this Dollar Tree store.
Right.
That, parking just was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're taking money away from this business parked like this.
Yeah. Let's continue on here.
The roller paint job on the car, that headlight, that's suspicious.
Yeah.
Have every reason to start questioning somebody.
Stop. So right there, you heard that you have a car that's backed in like that with a bad paint job. You have every right to be suspicious and ask questions. That's what the training officer just told this guy that's on the third day. You have every right to be suspicious because he was backed in, taking up 2 spots, and he had a bad paint job. Go back 10 seconds. Let's hear that again.
All right. Yeah, I think this is an important thing to hear here. So let's listen on in to the wise words of these idiot cops.
The roller paint job on the car, that headlight, that's suspicious.
Yeah.
Have every reason to start questioning somebody.
We have every reason to start questioning, is what he said. If there was a what did he say? A light out? I couldn't quite make out what he said.
No, he said there was paint on the tail light.
Paint.
Paint. Yes, God forbid you have paint. This is about a bad paint job. Like, I mean, wouldn't you all question that? Doesn't everybody think, even Karens out there must be like, oh my God, there's paint on the tail light. I think we need to call 911. This is serious.
Yeah, and Road Dog, that's a bullshit tactic too. They like to sit around. Why not wait for the guy to come out on the road and then look for a reason to pull him over? That's bullshit. I disagree with that. They shouldn't do that. MLH, avoid the red box, highly nauseous. I'm not seeing Colorado law that addresses private parking lots because there is none, Harry. KDOT, welcome, man. I didn't even see you in there. I think maybe Ellie mentioned you. Sorry if I missed you, bud. Here we go. Let's continue on. This is going to make you sick, KDOT. I can only show about maybe another minute and a half of this, but here we go.
Because that's against DOD.
Hello.
Got a quick question for you.
Yes.
Did you see that white Dodge Magnum parked out there?
I did not.
Okay. Did anybody know if your employees drive a white Dodge Magnum?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Thank you.
It's been around a bit time.
I don't. Well, just right now, we just noticed it right now, so
Oh, okay.
it hasn't been that long. I would say.
So he's being
Okay, pause it.
Yeah.
So he admits that she asks, has it been out there for a while? And he responds, it hasn't been out there that long. So that answers your question, Harry. So no, it's not like this thing was abandoned or sitting there or anything else like that.
Yeah, pause real quick. Or I'm sorry, mute, Ellie. I just want to say, This is the beginning of the conspiracy. Actually, they conspired outside, but this continues with the conspiracy because you can tell they're buttering her up for some, soliciting some type of complaint, right? So they mentioned complaint before, even though nobody called in to complaint. There was no, I'm sure we could do a FOIA request of any complaints that were made that day, and there would have been none. Right. So let's continue on here. I can show you guys another minute or so.
Cool. Well, you don't want any kind of car like that, so let's start asking people.
So now they divide and conquer, and they're going to ask people.
This guy walking away. Did you see that? Yeah. Keep an eye out.
Nobody complained, Liberty.
There you go. There it goes. There it goes.
Okay, pause.
There he goes.
Okay, so you hear there he goes. They can't see the door. Did anybody else see the door? I mean, we see it just like the body cam. Anybody see that door?
Mm-mm.
Nobody knows whether he did or did not do it. Now, is it likely? Could be. But listen, I don't think any jury is going to convict him of opening that door. But the alarm goes, and all of a sudden, it's a 5-alarm fire. They have to run to the door.
Mhm.
Run.
Mhm.
So go ahead.
Dispatch to Sally 65.
He's still in here.
Stop.
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
He's still in here.
Okay,
Now,
stop. I need you to go back 5 seconds, MLH. Let me do this part, please.
All right.
Go back 5 seconds. Okay, so they're going to go out the door, both of them. They don't have any clue where he went. And I want you to see exactly what happens the minute he comes back in and turns around. You can see the household sign for the products. And what's the first move he does when they admittingly don't know where he went? Go ahead, MLH.
He's still in here. Still in here. Where'd he go?
Stop. Everybody knows that has got to be some serious crime, right? So what does he do in the store that could have children or anything else? He pulls his weapon out. He doesn't even see the perpetrator. And he thinks that now is a good time to pull that gun out. So I will do spoiler alert that, it took a month, even though his chief tried to defend him. But through the grand jury, they decided to indict him. Unfortunately, he was indicted with murder second degree. I cannot believe this is not in the first degree. The minute he pulled that gun out, he made that decision he was going to shoot somebody without seeing him. That is absolutely premeditated.
Yes.
That is first degree, no matter how you look at it. You decided at this moment that you were going to use deadly force and shoot him. How it is second degree is what really infuriates me. It should 100% be first degree murder.
Mute for just a second, Ellie. We're going to have a discussion about that after this quick few seconds here because I can't show too much more.
Where'd he go?
All right, I'm not going to show anymore because,
Now you see the training officer. He's already there. He's at the passenger window, and MLH will show you because I screenshot. These windows are down. They can see that he does not have a weapon, and you can go a couple of more seconds and then stop. You just got to watch till he goes to the driver's side and then stop it. All right, stop. So this man is blocked in. He has two officers screaming at him at the same time from different directions. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. Two guns are pointed at him because they suspect him of having a bad paint job. Truly, that is the only crime, which is not a crime. It's not illegal. You don't even have to have paint on your car. You can have that shit stripped. It can be multicolored. You can have each quarter panel be a different color. Doesn't really matter. You don't find that suspicious. But this man is, so now you have to forward it 10 seconds. And you only see the last part, so forward it 10 seconds. A little bit more. A little bit more. There you go.
All right.
Now
All
you
right.
can see that the man is driving away. Unfortunately, what happens is he, since he's shot in his torso, he runs into another vehicle. Then they take him to a hospital where he is pronounced dead.
Yeah.
Somebody in this chat, please tell me if you think that this was not premeditated and why, because I am so angry. As a matter of fact, maybe you should drop the link and share, because
People
this
could
this
see
is
it.
just, I am so freaking PO'd about this. I just can't.
Yeah. I'm gonna drop the link. Mute for just a second, Ellie. The problem here is you can see him drive off there. Okay, so if I don't care if it was cops, you're falsely imprisoned. You didn't commit a crime. You're scared as shit because they're yelling at you. I mean, what would be a natural thing to do? Fucking flee.
And you're assuming he could even hear them because I mean, maybe the man's deaf. We don't know.
Right. Maybe he didn't hear him, but he definitely takes off, and why shouldn't he? I mean they fucking shot at him. I mean, it's crazy. There was no imminent danger. Like in other words, the guy wasn't backing into anybody. He wasn't erratically driving. He was getting around the car, which is not illegal. Paulie, welcome. Nice to have you here. And anybody else I missed, I do apologize. If I missed you, hit that like button. We'll try to get some more people in here. But that's the video. If you want to see the full uncut video of them shooting and killing this guy, because that's unfortunately what happened. So all right, so there's the video. Let me show you guys. Let me stop this, and I'm going to pull up some pics here. Of the you could see it, definitely see it in the what you call it, but let me go ahead and show you guys that the windows were down, so there's no issues there. Hold on a second, let me share this with you guys. Yeah, here we go. So there you go. You can see the windows are open. You can actually see clear through on the back windows. Both back windows are down a little bit, probably let some air in while he was in shopping or whatever the case is. But just as a side note, when you look at the comments of this on 9 News, people were commenting. The niece of this guy commented and say he did nothing wrong, and the cops just basically killed him, is what they said. They murdered him. So take that for whatever.
Now, what they also said in the articles, besides continuing the lie, was that this was his 3rd day on the job, but he has 6 years of law enforcement. So he was moved from at least one other, could be multiple police stations. I would like to have this officer's jacket on how many police forces he's been at and why he left to come here, because he was a little trigger happy to jump to pulling out that gun the minute the back door didn't even close yet. You could still see the light coming in, and he had that gun in his hand. I'm going to get this guy. We're going to get him. And both of them, the training officer and him, had their gun. Now only the rookie's the one. Well, he's not even a rookie just because he's got 6 years. He's a veteran, right? 3 years on. But then the chief says what? That they did everything according to policy up into the shooting, which is like, really? What are the standards here? And then said, but he doesn't know what was going through the officer's head and if he had fear for his life. Quote.
Harry, go ahead and mute for a second, Ellie. Harry says, what about the driver? What do we know about him? Do we care, Harry? I mean, let's just this is the problem that mainstream media wants everybody to fall into, right? They'll, like, for instance, George Floyd. I hate to bring up George Floyd in this instance, but the guy was convicted, so at this point we can say George Floyd was killed by a cop, right? So murdered by a cop. So in this instance, what would it? Let's say the guy was a felon. I mean, what would it have mattered? Like it doesn't matter. We always get into this mindset where, well, the guy had to have been a criminal, right? I mean, there had to have been some criminal background. I really don't give a shit because there's nothing that this guy did wrong in this particular instance. He may have a rap sheet as long as Timbuktu, from here to Timbuktu, but in this instance, this guy did nothing wrong. Am I wrong, Ellie?
No, we cannot get into victim blaming here, because, like you said, even if he had a rap sheet, first of all, there was no Raz, but there definitely wasn't even any probable cause. Nothing, even if he was clean as a whistle, could you have done. You could not have ticketed him because it was not a crime what he did. You can't ticket him for his paint job, and you can't ticket him for the way he was parked. You have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. And him running. When did running become a crime? You're right. You can run. You can get in your car.
Wait. We're assuming. No, let's not assume just because the media wants to do that. We don't know that he ran out of that store. He could have walked. Maybe he didn't push the door. Maybe somebody else did and got scared. It was just at a bad time. Because, I mean, listen, he had to run through that whole store and all the way around the building. Seems a little odd to me because by the time this guy got there, the other cop already had his gun out. So I don't think the guy ran. That's a presumption, but it doesn't matter what he could have done in his past. He did nothing at this point, and the man lost his life.
Here's okay. Harry's asking. I was asking because I'm still so confused on how they ended up there to begin with. I agree, Harry. I think they were just doing normal patrol, or they happened to cross this car and they decided out of the blue that this was suspicious based on the license plate not coming back to their satisfaction and the paint job, right? You heard that clearly on the video. They were suspicious of the paint job. They smelled it. The fat officer, the one that killed this guy, smelled it. Now, a couple of things here. We did spoil it for you. The guy got fired, and now he's under indictment for second-degree murder.
But not the training officer. He's happily in his job, back on the force, going out there, blocking in cars.
Yeah. George Daly, welcome. I didn't welcome you in. Welcome on in. Nice to have you here. We're discussing a particular case that happened in LaSalle, Colorado, which is north. I believe it's north. I want to say it's northeast of Denver. I could be wrong. Ghost Rider will kick my butt in chat if I'm wrong. But it is north of Denver for sure. In Weld County, I believe. I believe that's what I heard, Weld County. It's about an hour north. So if you visit LaSalle, you would know they have nothing to do in the city. It's small and has almost nothing there. I've been there, Ghost Rider, but I'm pretty sure it's northeast, right? I mean, it's definitely past Brighton and a few other, little podunk towns as you go out there. But Press Otters says, oh man, I lost your first comment, Press. But he says, except for the shooting, I have to agree with the officers. The paint job is very suspicious. I don't know. South of Greeley. Okay, so it's I was right. North east. It's just south of Greeley. It's it's way up there. Kick your butt for making burn. How dare you, Keeper? How dare you? So this case is so bad in so many ways, guys. Like this is just yet another. I mean, on an outside person looking into Colorado, like Ellie lives out of state, so you're looking at Colorado like, what the fuck is going on in Colorado? This is crazy. This is insane. Liberty says Weld County. Yes, it is. I thought I was right. I hardly get out there, Liberty Blair, but eventually I want to get out there and do some more work. But we've got too much shit in our backyard here to worry about going to little little smaller towns. One of those towns you blink, you'll miss it. King Bluto says, "Yeah, I mean LaSalle is not the biggest place in the world, but they have had issues before." Oh, look who's here, Road Dog. What's up, man? How are you doing? Do we have you, Road Dog? Roadie, you're on the air.
Yeah, I figured I'd come up here and cause some trouble.
Well,
you hear
you're
me?
trouble everywhere you go, man. What do you want to say? What do you think about this this situation here? Hello? Rody, are you there?
Well, my thing is
Your thing is
yeah, there must be some kind of delay going on.
I don't know
But
what's
what I
going
was going to say is when I made the comment in regards to them sitting back.
Yes. Sitting there, yeah, doing nothing as usual. Are you there, Rody?
Okay, what I was getting at is it would look better on them to try to do something like that than what they did.
Would it, Rody? It would the way I look at things is that might be even a little bit worse. Darlene, welcome. Nice to have you in here. Darlene McGee in the house. What's up? I think it's just awful all the way around, Rody, and it's super unfortunate. And this ties into something that KDOT. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna clue you guys in on at least one of the things that KDOT and I are working on. There's reasons why we're doing what we're doing, right? You haven't heard a lot on my side of things because I've been super busy with a myriad of things, behind the scenes, getting records on a plethora of issues. But one of the things that was frustrating to me today, I'm for even more reasons that I won't get into, but I got back petty offenses, why people are getting pulled over, and how often people are getting pulled over, and also the amount of money that is generated by these secondary offenses like seatbelts and registration and plates being out of date, or tail lights, or broken mirrors, or lights, headlights, or windshields, stuff like that. Just secondary offenses, right? And the reason that KDOT and I are going down this path and getting all this data, right? That's basically what we're doing. We're gathering data because a lot of times when people are pulled over, for usually petty offenses, like a cop will look at someone, oh, they were definitely speeding, even though they don't have them on radar, and they'll zoom in and they'll get them on a secondary offense like seat belts, or your plates, registration, whatever the secondary offense is, right? That's what I'm trying to say. And sometimes that ends in somebody losing their life or getting the shit beat out of them, or harassed or harangued for bullshit. And part of the things that KDOT and I are trying to get changed in Aurora, Colorado specifically, and hopefully we can do this for other little towns and cities in the Denver metro area, is we don't want people being pulled over for these secondary offenses like window tinting, for instance, right? You don't want any chance for both the cops and the citizens of Aurora, Colorado, to be killed over something as stupid as a taillight or window tinting or things of that nature. All right. So these are things that aren't glamorous. You're not going to see this type of shit on other channels. You just, I mean, it's just one of those things that that is really irritating to me when I see other people do what we do here, that for sensationalism reasons, or for views and all that type of bullshit. For me, this is about making actual fucking change, because something has to change, because otherwise we're going to have repeat after repeat of innocent people getting killed, right?
Well,
And
here, my thing on that, if you watch the video, what officer was in danger with the way he went? Neither
no
officer.
officer. At no point was either of these officers in any type of danger, Road Dogs. You know,
Exactly. Now, if he would have came at the officer or was about to run one over and they opened fire, I can kind of understand it. But neither one of them was in danger. What was going to happen is high-speed chase, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. King Bluto says, what gets me about this window tinting, you go to any car dealership these days and brand new cars and they've got real dark window tinting on them right off the showroom floor. That's exactly right. Window tinting is an interesting thing, Bluto, because the public can't have their windows tinted a certain way, but the cops sure do. I mean, if you go to any cop cruiser in Denver or Aurora, their stuff is like, I mean, it's not quite limo where, you know, you can't see at all inside, but it's damn near close. It's definitely, if we were to put that same window tinting on our car, we would get tickets for it, right? So yeah, no trifold keeper says.
Yeah, I remember back in 1986, I bought a brand new truck and it had window tint on it. I got a ticket for it in Marina Del Rey, California. And I showed him, and the dealer actually gave me a notice saying, no, it's legal, blah, blah, blah. They looked at it and said, that ain't worth the paper it's wrote on. So they
Well,
had
and
to
remember, though,
take it all off.
they were not looking at the tinted windows as an issue. Plus, it was Oklahoma plates. So, you know, Oklahoma, every state has a different law on the percentage of tinting. Tinting wasn't an issue with this. It was the way he was parked and the paint job. That was it. They should never, here's the thing, they should never have gone out of their vehicle to run that plate to begin with. They had no cause to run that plate. None whatsoever.
None. Well, here, I'll take it one step further, Ellie. Okay, everybody kind of knows me now by now. I'm pretty well known, you know, in a lot of circles, but I don't have a criminal record, right? I'm one of the few that, you know, just has never been arrested. You know, I think my last ticket was for not stopping at a stop sign, which was absolute bullshit. And that was about 5 years ago, right? So I'm pretty squeaky clean on my record. And somehow, by some miracle, I've been doxxed by the cops at least twice. So they would have had to have run my plates and said, okay, so this is who this guy is, right? So that just goes to show you that they do nefarious things like that. They will get your information. If they don't, you know, if even if there's no crime and they want to know who you are, they will know who you are. Right. Lucky says Colorado actually has a statute that they can't enforce traffic laws if the cops' windows are tinted below legal. That's crazy. If they're tinted below legal, they can't. That's fucking insane. It only tint only applies in Colorado to Colorado registered vehicles. So yeah, we're not even talking about tinting in this case, Lucky. I just bring up tinting as a, you know. Polly says definitely not speeding in a Prius. Hey, Polly, my new Prius probably has more horsepower than your average fucking Volkswagen or any other car out there now. They doubled the horsepower. So I'm just telling you.
They put a bigger hamster in there to
They
run.
did. Now it's got, well, I mean, any regular car, I'll put up my Prius up against any regular car any day of the week, man. No problem. There's a circle joke I'm just not going to say, Keeper says. All right. Let's see. My stream is behind Emily. Yeah, that's okay, Lucky. It's all good. I don't know what's going on here. There's always like a 10-second delay or some shit, and coupled with Ellie's fucked up phone with echo, she's gonna kick my butt now. Watch, she's gonna come on and read me. Yeah. So
bite me.
Chuck Norris is so tough, his farts cause climate change, Keeper says. Okay. I was completely against the cops until someone opened that back door and doubled back to the car and tried to drive away. Then I was like, damn, those cops are Sherlock Holmes. Exactly, press harder. I it's just like, I mean, they expect us to believe, at least the chief over there up in LaSalle, Colorado, right? Podunk, LaSalle, Colorado, expects us to believe that these guys did nothing wrong all the way up until they shot at the car, which I call complete horseshit. The fact in almost every police handbook, there's a courtesy angle, right? However it's worded, you have to be courteous to the public. So these guys chose to be discourteous by going and harassing him instead of putting up the sign, like they said, that would be a nice thing to do, which actually wouldn't be nice and not legal. They have to have a complaint first and go through that whole process before they put that sticker. And that sticker is not nice because it is super hard to get off and bullshit. So let's see. By the way, look up SB 50 2023 in California. It touches on your secondary offense stuff. Unfortunately, the cops gutted it, so it's a neutered version, but it's better than nothing. Lucky, I understand what those, but here in Colorado, it's you know how it is. Lucky, you're down south, I believe in Pueblo, so you kind of know how things are fucked up here in Colorado, and they do pull you over for fucking bullshit. So
And you know
Ellie-
what this does teach you?
Yeah.
Or what this should teach you is that cops go above and beyond to make up what they think is probable cause.
Yes.
You just made shit up to say he was double parked when he wasn't, that, he had the suspicious paint job. Nah, he had a crappy paint job. That's not suspicious.
Right.
His car was backed in, so you couldn't see the plate. There was still no reason to get out of your vehicle. None. So I don't care what they could have gotten him on or what he could have done. The case would have gotten tossed out. You took a man's life over this because what? You weren't going to chase him. God knows they don't want to chase. You just shoot them so you don't have to move.
Well, this is why cop's job is one of the safer jobs in the United States that pays the most. Ellie, is there any truth to this that you lied and said there would be a Milo?
No,
bomb?
he wasn't in here in time. He lost. He was disqualified.
Oh, also, you were given lockets of my hair. Wow, that's weird. Only Polly Glocks would wish for locks of my beautiful hair. I mean, they added a hamster that was on steroids. Pluto says cops should have waited until they drove off. They shouldn't have bothered him.
But no. Even if he drove off, there was still not probable cause to pull him over or to run his plate. There was nothing there. Unless he would have been on the road and was speeding, didn't use a turn signal, they have nothing. But then that shows that they profile people. You're gonna do a what do they call that? Stop. Shoot. Begins with a P. I'm having a brain fart here. But you can't just pull them over just because. They had to do something. You can't say because his plate was out of state. You can't say because Oklahoma doesn't require you have a front and a back plate, just a back plate. You can't say anything about his windows. You can't say anything about his paint job. There would have been no reason at all. So I don't care that he went to drive off. Enough with the victim blaming on this crap. That this man was murdered. They wanted to. They didn't know he was going to run. Think about it. They had no idea he was going to run. He was in the back of the Dollar Tree store with the door still open when that gun left it holster. So he was going to shoot him. It didn't matter.
Yeah, Ghost Rider says his parking wasn't a crime. It was on private property. I agree with you, Ghost Rider. He also says, Terry, stop. You're thinking pretextual stuff.
Yes, that's it. Pretextual. Thank you.
Yeah. Press Otter says the paint job is suspicious. Hello, a spray can paint job is a common way to disguise a stolen car. okay, but it's also a common way to change the color of your car super cheap. Press harder. You're into thought crimes. You know what I mean? Like I get into it with people with thought crimes all the time. They're like thought crimes are so ridiculous. They're not crimes. You think somebody's going to do something, but until they actually do something, it's not a crime. You see?
Yeah, I
So
started to say that's becoming a real common thing around here. People
yeah,
repainting their car with spray cans because spray paint has gotten so technology advanced that it
yeah.
looks almost as good as if you pay a couple $1,000s for a paint job.
Yeah, and Press Harder continues. He says, "Ellie's right. Even though the paint job is extremely suspicious, which I tend to disagree with you, Press Harder. I mean, I've seen people spray can their car for a myriad of reasons. They didn't have RAS to block them in. Keeper says MLH hair locks. I know a model that'll pay $700 for real hair extensions. MLH want to be a hair farm? No, thank you, Keeper. I love my locks, man. It took me 15 years of 17 years of being with my ex to finally break out of the mold of being able to grow my hair. So I'm perfectly okay with my long hair.
And let's point out that what the officers did by blocking him in was a crime. You cannot falsely imprison somebody. They had no reason to detain him, no reason to what you're saying is block him in. You were imprisoning him because you decided that something was suspicious. That in itself was a crime. You can't block somebody from moving up their path. He was not under arrest. He was not detained. There was nothing suspicious about that paint job. He could have just had a crappy job. Maybe he got money from the insurance company because he was in an accident, but decided, you know what, I'm just going to get one of these $199 jobs, and well, you get what you pay for. And they did a crappy job. Maybe that was it. You don't know. Maybe he was learning how to do it. Maybe it was a test. You have no idea on why the paint job was what it was, but it's nobody's business.
Right. Matthew, and this goes into what Matthew's saying here. He says if it was unregistered and driving on the road, they have a reason to make a stop. But what reason would you have to run that plate, Matthew? That's the
Correct.
whole
You can't find out about that registration unless you're illegally running that plate for no reason.
Right. So it's just funny. Like we always manufacture stuff, and even the 1A community is guilty of this. We're always trying to find ways to make people suspicious or figure out ways that they committed a crime in certain aspects of almost any interaction with police or even amongst ourselves or what we do. I mean, it boggles my mind. We do mental gymnastics to excuse behavior. And I'm not saying you're doing that, Matthew. I just, in general, it's so weird to me that we come up with all these things. I hear you, Press Harder. I was just giving you a little bit of guff. Not really, there is something more intimate. New cop, small town, set up the new guy to take a fall. I mean, there could be that, Keeper. I mean, there's thoughts to that. I mean, I'm not going to speculate on LaSalle, Colorado. I mean, everybody kind of knows how the police force works. I mean, in almost any county, it's the same thing. Another case of prior restraint, King Bluto says. Yes. Road Dogs is right. They have car paint in cans now. Yeah, they do. You can't stop them from running plates. They are even putting up automated plate readers. I understand that, Ghost Rider, but that's something that needs to change because you can't just assume everybody on the road is a goddamn criminal. And there are instances of like how in this case, I don't know if this is the case for this particular one, but maybe something didn't translate from Oklahoma to Colorado with the plate, right? Maybe the plate was perfectly okay and it just didn't come up in Colorado's system because, I don't know, the system had a bad day or the system just couldn't read it right or the idiot cop put in a wrong letter or number or something of that nature.
And you know what? Honestly, I think if that was, it would have been leaked to the news that he did something illegal. because they've done it before, and there's not a peep that there was anything that this guy did anything wrong, even though I don't believe in victim blaming at all. But that would have been put out there if that car was illegal. So I have to believe that it was not, because I have no evidence to. And even if that was the case, that it was, they still had no reason to do what they did. But I'm starting to wonder, because remember, this was third day on the job, but he had 6 years law enforcement. So was he out there with his training officer being like, oh, look, let me show you what a tough guy I am. I know this stuff because I'm good. I don't need to be in this training. You can sign off on that. I know how to play ball. I'm part of this thick blue line. Sounds like it's more along the lines of that. Let's see what we can do, because they're all giggly, remember?
Yeah,
Don't forget the giggly.
This goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Ellie. Harry Nuts brings it up again. He says, I never heard the training officer say, hey, that's the way we train all our rookies. Where's the training officer in all of this? Is he just letting the rookie take the fall? The answer to that, Harry, is unequivocally yes. The quote unquote rookie, which the rookie's not a rookie. He worked 6 years previously in another police force, and I'm assuming that he got kicked out of there and moved on to LaSalle, Colorado, because of what Ghost Rider said earlier. LaSalle is like a dumping ground for retread officers. So what did that officer do wherever he was before LaSalle, Colorado? That's the question. When wearing your shorts is no longer a weird thing in public, but the paint job is suspicious. Wearing your shorts on the outside of your pants, he said. Yeah, see that. I mean, when is a paint job considered suspicious? I understand what Press Harder was saying about, maybe you're trying to steal a car and change the color real quick and stuff, but that's just really stupid, because if you're doing that, I mean, you are drawing a little bit of attention to yourself just in general, right? I mean, everybody knows a real paint job from a fucking spray paint job. So I guess in that respect, I understand what you're saying, Press Harder, but still.
And I'm absolutely going to blame the training officer, because he came up with option 3 of let's block him in and go on in and search for the guy.
Yep, let's.
But the other guy was like, "Wow, we could do this or we could do this," and he's like, "Nah, let's do this. We can have some fun." Yeah, okay, that's even better. Good job, buddy.
That's okay. So mute for just a second. This is what kills me, right? You guys remember that Trump thing where he said, I grab women by the vajayjay. He didn't say that word, but the thing that really bothered me about that was that bothered me, right? But what bothered me further is the other guy. His last name is Bush. He's like a Entertainment Tonight guy. Said, or he didn't say. He just started laughing like and that to me was one of the worst parts of this, other than the guy getting killed because of the actions of that one officer, was them giggling like little fucking schoolgirls that, man, we're gonna falsely imprison this guy and then we're gonna run in and we're gonna be badass fucking chip cops. That's to me, that was one of the worst things about this. Liberty Blair says, I would bet that the pig said the wrong plate number. I
agree.
I can almost guarantee that happened, Liberty Blair. That it's just,
or dispatch entered it in wrong. They misheard, or they didn't put in the state. They put in Colorado instead of putting in Oklahoma, and that's why it came back with nothing.
Right. Number one dumping ground for gypsy cops is Mountain View. Ghost Rider says. Yeah. I mean, Ghost Rider, there's so much wrong with a lot of the police departments here in Colorado. I mean, we're dealing with shit in Aurora and Denver right now, which I mean, you've been through it before, Ghost Rider. You know some of the stuff that we're up against here. Billy got fired for that conversation. Oh yeah, Billy Bush. That's who the name of that. But see, that's what I'm saying, Matthew. It's like when what was her name, Karen Gardner up in Loveland, Colorado. There's another example, Ellie, of Colorado cops being shitty. Which I've been up to Loveland, Colorado before. When they broke that, what was she, 73 years old? They broke her arm. She has dementia.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was horrible, right? But one of the worst things about that is when they caught those cops on camera laughing about breaking this poor old woman's arm, right? I mean, this could be your mom, and you're sitting there talking about this.
Well, look at the story that DJ KDOT and I actually covered. The one about the family out on Sunday, and they had the kids laid out on the floor because the cop put in the wrong plate. It was
Yeah.
actually a motorcycle.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Press harder. You're up on the panel. What's up, my man? How are you?
Yeah, man. I've never talked to you.
I know, man. It's a pleasure to have you up here, man. What
Yeah, I
did you
think
want
a lot of you, man. I've watched several of your videos, and you seem like so genuine and sincere, man. I really do think a lot of you.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot, actually. So
Well, wait till you really get to know him. Just saying.
yeah, when you really get to know me, press harder, then that's when things go awry, I guess. So what did you want to add to this conversation, Press? I know you were talking about like the paint being suspicious and stuff, which I can understand your point of view. I just don't think that's reason for a cop to be, super suspicious of anybody, to be honest with you.
Well, if I could start from the beginning, because I had never seen this, I didn't know anything about this case until just now when you guys showed it, and I've been watching your whole video.
Yeah.
And I mean, every day is fuck the police day. I don't know if I can say that on your channel, but
Of course you can, man.
and I was totally against the cops. I thought that they were murderers before I even saw this video, and I was right there with everybody all the way up until that door opened in the back, right? And then the alarm went off, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Mhm.
Like somebody's running, right? Like somebody is so scared already that the cops are in the store.
But aren't you
And then-
assuming?
No, hold
Aren't
on,
you
hold on.
assuming it was him?
Let me finish. And then they ran back to the car. The whole time I was thinking that this was going to end a different way, right? I was thinking that they were going to go in the store. They were conspiring against him. Like they were going to find him. He was going to come outside or whatever, or like he was going to be like, why are you messing with me? I didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? But that's not what happened. He just ran instantly.
Well, hold on a second here, Press. You're making a lot of assumptions. You're assuming that he's the one that set off the alarm, and
Well, I am assuming that, but
right.
That's a fair assumption. It's not like I'm not convicting him of it.
Yeah.
But the totality of the circumstances, right? I am assuming that, and then right after that, the guy's out in front. It might not have been him, but nevertheless, he did run. Right? There's a cop car blocking you in.
Did you at any point see him run, Press? Because I didn't. In that body
I
cam
think
footage,
just getting in the car is like, I mean, if a cop car is blocking me,
So you're not saying he ran. What you mean is that he was fleeing.
right?
fleeing.
You think
yeah,
he was fleeing,
right,
not running.
Right. I don't mean like running with his legs, but is that me that's echoing?
No, it's
No, it's
Ellie.
me.
Yeah, it's Ellie. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Continue on.
Usually it's me, man. I'm so glad it's finally you, Ellie. and I've never talked to you either, Ellie. Yeah, it's good to talk to you. But I mean, everybody knows. I want to be completely clear. Like, the cops are wrong almost all the time, and I really thought that they were wrong.
Yeah.
Right, and the shooting is absolutely wrong, and blocking the car in is absolutely wrong.
So
But looking back,
Yeah.
I think that training officer, he was trying to train that new officer, right? And I'm just guessing, right? I'm trying to put myself in his shoes a little bit, And so I'm like, okay, so he's training a new guy, and he's like, all right, so here's a car that's backed in, right? Which is a common way to like hide your license plate. You know what I mean? Like if your car's not registered or something, you back the car in, so that a cop doesn't see it. They have to go out of their way to read it or whatever. And then they go and they look at it, and it's a spray paint, on there, which is suspicious, like of a stolen car, right? And then they run the plate, and they find somebody that is willing to like flee, right? So he like gets back in the car, and which is just completely makes no sense.
Okay, so
You know what I'm saying? If he had done nothing wrong, like
I
why would he
understand.
get in the car?
I get it. I understand what you're saying, Press. But here's my thing. As far as I can see from their own body cam footage and Ghost Rider, I did check and I didn't see any.
Right, the car's not stolen.
So okay, hold on.
Is that what you're
So-
gonna say?
No, what I'm going to say is I didn't see any illegality at all.
No, I didn't either.
Okay.
Well, technically, okay, the paint on the tail light could be
Yeah.
an infraction,
Okay, I
right?
understand.
Of
I
obstruct.
understand.
It's stupid. It's bullshit. I know.
Right,
You know what I mean? I'm not like defending all these bullshit codes,
right.
but I'm just saying. I think that technically that would be an infraction.
Yeah, but see, here's the
Or
thing.
could
But it
be-
was on private property.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what I was going to say.
Well, but it's different because it's not just private property. It's private property accessible to the public. It is
It
like
don't matter.
roadway. If
Okay,
you
hold
have-
on. Press, you're making a lot of logical assumptions, and I
Which one?
understand.
What assumption?
I'm logical as well. Like I
No,
think
what
that these-
assumptions? What assumptions?
Well, you're assuming that that. Okay, so I think what you're assuming, Press, and correct me if I'm wrong. There had to have been a crime, even if it was that little infraction with the paint, because the car got there, right? Or is that way off?
No, it's on publicly accessible property. That's not the
Okay.
same as like being in your front yard. If it was in your front yard, that would be private property, and it's not being driven or anything like that. So like the paint on the taillight would not be an infraction there.
Okay.
But because it's on publicly accessible property, that's open to the public. Just like drunk driving in that parking lot would be drunk driving.
No, I
Where
understand.
You could drive on your own property, but you can't drive in a public parking lot.
I get it. I get where you're coming from, Press Harder.
Yeah.
But you would have to wait until he drove onto that parking lot and witness it yourself before
Correct.
you could give him that ticket, right? If nobody's driving that vehicle,
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's bullshit.
right?
Like charging somebody with that.
Right, I do
You know
too.
what I'm saying?
By the way,
Again, like I'll just say that that's not a crime.
okay.
You know what I
So
mean? Because
so
I've
we're-
already said, like, I don't think they had enough to block him in. But in retrospect, I'm looking back and I'm like, the totality of the circumstances, those cops really were onto something.
I
They
disagree.
really did find a criminal. I think.
No,
Yes,
they
he
didn't.
was. They did.
You're assuming he's a criminal.
Right.
Well, I am because he ran, right? I don't know that he's
Okay.
a criminal.
He didn't run.
I don't know anything about this case. He
No,
tried to
you're-
flee. He tried to flee.
Okay.
No. Well, first of all,
No.
they blocked him in like crap.
Yeah,
Okay.
they did.
So if he can technically still get out, he wasn't fleeing. He was just leaving the situation. They didn't say you're detained. They just had their weapons out automatically. Okay. Even if he was driving on the road, a bad paint job is not in itself any suspicion of any crime. Okay.
It is
Backing into a
suspicious.
spot is
I
not
would be-
suspicious.
I
back in all the time because it's easier to pull straight out. So for me, it's easier to do. So as a habit, whenever I drive and I park, I back into any spot. I don't find that suspicious at all.
Well,
I
you're not a
guess-
cop, and neither am I, you know,
Right.
and he was trying to train a new cop, right? In the totality of the circumstances. I mean, I don't want to get in the habit of
No. He wasn't a new
Okay.
cop. He was a
Because I
cop
don't-
for 6 years.
because I don't defend cops. This is
Right.
so unusual for me. I don't know.
Press harder. I understand where you're coming from. You're coming from the vantage point of a lot of circumstantial things coming
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
to assume that there's a crime that was committed, right? Like that's
Well, maybe like he was like on the run or something. I mean, I don't know. Like,
right. Okay,
why
so
he would run, why he would flee like that. It's
So
just
let
not
me-
a normal reaction to
Okay.
drive away.
I understand, but people are different, right? Press. So
Yeah.
the way that I act when a cop, you know, comes at me, which has happened several times, it would be different from somebody that doesn't do what I do, right? So it would be,
Yeah.
it would,
And
you
it's
could
definitely
assume-
murder. I can't reiterate enough that
Right.
that's
No.
definitely murder.
We're
You
not.
can only shoot somebody if, like, running, if
Right.
if you know they're a violent fleeing felon,
Right.
right? A danger to the public. You can't just. They had nothing like that on him.
Right.
Nothing
Well,
like
I
that.
thought Arkansas was the worst because here you can be doing 150 miles an hour and they'll pit maneuver you. They
Yeah.
killed, I could not tell you how many people doing pit maneuvers here. Here it is insane.
By the way, people-
There's a 109-mile-an-hour pit that happened right down the road from me where a cop was launched, almost cleared a telephone pole. That's how high he got launched off the pit.
Hey, Press, I've got to tell you, a lot of people in chat are really digging the beard, man. They're
Is
saying
this the
you
first
should be
time
a-
they've seen it?
I've seen it before, Press, but somebody mentioned, I think it was Ghost, said you could be a stand-in for a ZZ Top member. So I think that's a high
I
compliment.
get that a lot. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not proud. My mama tried to raise me better, but I
I love it, man. I think it's the coolest fucking thing. But
yeah.
so this really is a tough one, Press, and I get what you're saying. By the way, Cajun Randy, nice to have you in chat. Really appreciate you all being in here. We're having a great discussion about an unfortunate circumstance that happened. Basically, so let me.
Have
ask
you ever watched Think Like a Cop?
I have.
You know, I've watched, I think, all of his videos, right? And he's really progressed, but I've learned a lot from him from the cop perspective, you know?
Right.
And I think that he would even say that he doesn't have a problem with that cop pulling the gun. Pulling the gun.
Right.
Not shooting the gun. Right?
I think-
Shooting the gun was a no-go, unless, like, he saw a weapon. But, I mean, if he's being charged with murder, I couldn't see what was happening in the car. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, there was no weapon. There was no weapon.
he's being charged with murder, so
Here's why I think.
Well, sadly, he's being charged with second degree, but that was premeditated the minute he pulled that gun out while he was still in the store without even seeing him. He pulled that gun out before ever seeing the guy. It is absolute that to me was first of all, it should be a policy violation, let alone a safety issue, because he's running with a gun. But if you accidentally, squeeze one off there,
they can run with gun.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on murder, but I think that premeditated murder requires you to go somewhere with the intention of killing a specific person, not just a person, a specific person. And so it would be very difficult to prove that it was premeditated, that he wanted to kill that guy in particular.
well, he wanted to kill that specific person of that driver the minute he pulled that gun out. It didn't matter who he was. He didn't know who it was when he shot him either.
No, I think it matters for a first-degree murder charge. I think that's part of the statute, is a specific person, not just a person.
Yeah. Okay. So on the.
But I'm not an expert on that.
Let's. Okay. So by the way, El Ramirez, welcome, and Carol Funk, welcome to the chat. We're having a really great discussion here. Ghost Rider says, I had a problem with him pulling a gun out when he did not have a crime at that point. Nothing to indicate himself or others were in any danger. A man fleeing is not a threat normally. I agree. But here's what I'm going to say. On the most basic of levels, right? I guarantee if I were to pull up the LaSalle, Colorado Code of Ethics or their policy, right? Their policy, which is probably pretty thick. I guarantee in there it says somewhere something about being courteous to the public, right? So this is before we even get into any crimes or suspicion or anything of that nature. We have to first look at these cops' mindset, right? So the mindset going in, right, going into that Family Dollar store was they had two choices. They could either be nice and put a sticker on it, or we can be complete assholes and we can pull our car in front of that car and go in and find him and harass this person, right? So they made the choice. They are they were the judge, jury, and executioner of this guy based on their
Or
own
they could
word.
tow it. Don't forget that.
I forgot the towing, but that's also an asshole move according to them. So they already were going into it being discourteous to the public, right? And therein lies the rub, Press Harder. According to their own policy, I'm not talking about law right now. I'm just talking about their own policy. They broke their policy right then and there. And for a lieutenant or a chief, I'm sorry, chief, their chief to say that nothing was wrong, there was no policies that were broken, no laws that were broken, up until he pulled out his gun and shot the guy, is absolutely asinine to me, because I guarantee if you look at the LaSalle police policy, there's provisions for being courteous to the public. And
Yeah, courteous and kind, but that's not the same word as nice. And what those two words mean exactly is like subjective. You know, I think that usually those policies are referring to like, you know, not swearing at somebody and like, you know, maintaining a nice tone of voice, being polite, but enforcing the law is not being discourteous or like.
No, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is they broke their policy by choosing, according to their own words,
to not be nice.
To not be nice. You see what I'm saying, Press? There's a fine, nuanced distinction there.
Yeah, but their policy probably doesn't say be nice. It says courteous or kind.
To have courtesy, we could be nice, which is, I mean, look, we're talking.
You're changing the words though.
We're playing semantics.
Yeah, they will play semantics.
They will, right? And that's another infuriating thing about it, right?
I'm all about semantics. You know, I love semantics.
Usually, when we talk about courtesy, right? Being nice is part of being courteous, right?
You know what the word nice means?
Of course, I know what the word nice means.
Then you know it means stupid?
No.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Look,
if you look it up right now, nice means stupid. N-I-C-E, it's French. It comes from the French word and it means stupid.
Okay, but
like if somebody says, "Oh, how nice."
Right, but words change meanings, and English has a way of twisting words, right? We've changed.
Stupid. If you say somebody's being nice, it means that they're being stupid.
No.
No, the definition does not. It actually means to be pleasant, agreeable, satisfactory. It does not mean that.
She's not ugly. She's nice.
No, look, it can.
It can. Now we're getting somewhere.
It can mean something nefarious, Press, but again, we're a civilized society, right? And when we say the word, like if I'm to say, "Oh, that guy's really nice," I'm not saying that to say that guy's really stupid.
Yeah, the nice guy always finishes last.
Look now, okay. Look, you know what I'm talking about. It has an undertone
to it. Everybody understands that. It's not really like a good thing.
Being nice is not a good thing, as opposed to being mean.
It has undertones to it. It has a lot of nuance to that word.
When you were growing up, Press, did your mom or dad ever tell you to be nice to people?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we're talking.
My mom and dad told me to do a lot of things that weren't. Weren't correct.
I don't understand what the rub is here. Being nice to people.
Well, because like, okay, if you're being nice, you don't necessarily tell somebody the truth.
That's also an assumption.
No, it's don't say that.
Well, but this goes into the two things can be true at the same time.
Don't say that. Be nice.
Be nice. Be nice to
that
others.
Means
be kind.
That you know, so many times that word is used like. it's not.
I think we're wearing out the word nice, but
Right.
let's try to
We
think
are
on
getting
what
into
the cops could have done if they were so suspicious of this. Don't you think maybe they should have just stayed outside and
Fuck
waited
yeah.
for the driver next to the car instead of going in through the store and then pulling out a gun?
I think that they never should have even looked twice at that car. They should have kept going and gone and looked for criminals. You know, I don't want to defend those cops at all.
Yeah. I just
You know,
look.
I don't. Right?
I don't want to get into the definition of the word nice anymore, Press, but you know the way. I think you and I both know the way that I intend to use the word nice. You know how many people tell me that I'm nice, I'm super nice on my audits, or that, and I've never once looked at any of those people and thought that they were calling me stupid. They were genuinely telling me that I was a nice person. Right? Not a stupid person, because everybody knows I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I know what I'm doing when I go out and do these things. I'm courteous. When you think of nice, it's like I don't ever think of people as being stupid if they're nice. Like I met, for instance, Harry Nuts, one of the nicest people I know. I'm not calling him stupid. I'm saying this guy is super nice. Like, he is genuinely a nice guy.
I use the phrase all the time. It's not nice to call people names. When a cop asks me for my ID, I say it's not nice to call people names, and it's not stupid to call people names either, right? So it has both meanings, and all meanings apply
and
at
and
all
what
times.
right. And what Ellie said is true. Two things can be true at the same time, right, Press?
Yeah, they can. It's stupid and it's courteous, but because being nice is not always true. And being true, like if you want to be true, if you want to be honest, you might not be nice.
Okay.
Right.
I understand what you're saying, but it's just semantics. It's like depends
I'm
on
all about
the way,
semantics, like I said.
It depends on the way that you use. I'm trying to look up the
etymology of the word comes from nice, N-I-C-E in French.
Right.
It means stupid.
Yes, I understand, but words change meaning over time and from translation. You see what I'm saying? We could go all the way back to Latin, and we could discuss certain Latin words and what they mean. And it's like the Bible. There's a story in the Bible, Press, about these two, and here's where the translation is different depending on who you talk to. Two youths or two boys that harass an old man going up a bald old man going up a hill, right? Go forth, thou old man, right? And the Bible, you don't know if they're saying two youths or two boys or two young men. Like I mean, but we're really splitting hairs here. You see what I'm saying? So there's no way of like I can't definitively say that what you're saying is wrong, just as in the same way you can't definitively say what I'm saying is wrong. So it's just semantics, but you understand what I'm saying about courtesy, right?
Yeah, courtesy. Sure, but nobody ever says, like, she's not ugly, she's really courteous. Right. They say she's not ugly, she's really nice.
Right. And Ellie says nice doesn't mean truthful or honest. It means pleasant. That's kind of what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
I would never be offended unless somebody used that word that I knew was in an offensive way. It's not a word that brings ire to most people's mind when you say it.
Right. So if you confront somebody, if you're disagreeable, you know what I mean, then you're not being nice, right?
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I think I could agree with that assessment.
Right, but it might not be in your best interest. I mean, you're not being truthful necessarily. You know what I mean? I'd say you're pretty nice on traffic stops. I mean, you don't film traffic stops usually, but in your videos, you know what I mean? I'd say that you always try and be very courteous.
See, see, that's what I said about time, Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider says, although the word nice tends to be a compliment today, this wasn't true during the 14th century. Originally, nice was borrowed from French, meaning silly or foolish. That's what I'm saying.
I think
Words
it's a backhanded compliment.
Right.
Kind of a compliment, but it's also kind of a slur at the same time.
Well,
it's both. It's a
Not
code.
necessarily. Not
It's a
necessarily.
code.
It's like if you put up your two fingers like in a peace symbol, right? Press.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
For all of us in the United States, this means peace, right? But if you do that in Australia or New Zealand, you know what that means? It means fuck you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So you see what I mean? Like it's two different meanings for two different peoples. So two things can be true at the same time is what I'm saying. So let's get back to the topic here. So
Yeah, let's.
what my whole thing was
Why are you so concerned about that policy? I mean, he's being charged with murder.
No, I understand, but the whole thing started with the police being discourteous. Can we agree on that?
No, the whole thing started with they assumed that this guy did something, and they decided to put together a plan because they knew they did not have RAS and they did not have probable cause to do anything. So thinking through the process, that training officer knew that they couldn't tow that vehicle. He knew that they couldn't put a abandoned sticker on there. You know, there's no reason to think that that vehicle was abandoned or broken down or left there for any time. He even stated that it wasn't. They conspired together to make that decision to where that person, if he should come out before they could locate him, that they were going to do what they thought was best to block him in because they were going to force and mandate him to speak to them.
Right.
That is the issue.
That's what I'm saying.
I totally believe you're right about that.
It started
that's how I thought that video was gonna go.
Right. It started with them making the decision to not put the quote unquote courteous thing that the courteous thing to do was put the sticker according to them. I'm just using their rationale and their logic, right? So by them admitting that, they were being discourteous by pulling their car behind, they're pulling their cruiser behind that car and going into that place to try to find that person. That's where the policy comes in. I understand what you're saying. In the end, it's second degree murder. If they would not have made that decision, in other words, if they would have made what in their view was the courteous call, they would have put a sticker on that car. They would have went on their way, and everybody lives, right?
And don't forget, they knowingly lied by saying, well, we got a call.
Complaint.
You didn't get a call. So you lied to set this. Yeah, there was no call. So you set this whole thing up as a lie to figure out how you were going to try to work around the system to force somebody to do something that you had no probable cause to talk to him to begin with. Nothing to detain him. Nothing. But you decided to do that anyway. That man would have had legal grounds to sue him civilly. Would they not have killed him?
That's standard training in any department.
Yeah, I really wish that they would have put that sticker on because we would have that gentleman still.
I wish I would hear the body cam on afterwards.
I do too.
Notice they cut that. What did you do when he crashed? What did you do? Go up there and say, "Oh shit, this was your fault." Nope, this was your fault. Oh shit, why'd you shoot him? I want to know what he said to that officer, to his training officer, after he did that.
The only people that are going to know what was said on that body cam is the chief of police, unfortunately, Ellie, because they're not releasing that information to the family. I guarantee that. And I guarantee what was said would probably enrage about 95% of the people in this country of ours. So,
yeah, he probably was like, yo, dickhead shouldn't have tried to leave. And, why didn't he do this? Listen, it doesn't matter. It's not up for him. They didn't say you're detained. Okay.
Right.
They didn't have any reason to. This guy, maybe he feared cops for whatever reason. Maybe he had a past. Who knows? Maybe the car was stolen. Still, the charges would have been dismissed based on the grounds on why they did it anyway. So you had no right to shoot the man.
Who's the bass guitarist of the Muppets?
I don't
Keeper of the
know.
List. I've never seen. I don't know.
I don't know. That's
Keeper
a
of
good
the
question.
List said I the bass
Yeah, but
guitarist.
here's the thing, King Bluto. Yes, the Supreme Court already ruled that cops can legally lie to you and get away with it. But the thing is, they weren't lying to anybody but themselves.
Yeah.
They were just the two of them when they said, well, he is double parked and, we could have him towed, because there was a complaint. They were lying to themselves.
They were trying to manufacture something there. They were conspiring to manufacture more than what there was. And the reason that I know, Press Harder, that there wasn't anything more than just their conjecture was the fact that nothing was leaked out into the press to say this guy did this, and this wrong. None of that. Usually when you get like in the case of Elijah McClain or a bunch of other there's a myriad of people that are out there. They always leak something to the press. Well, he was reaching for a gun. He was doing this. He was doing none of that in this case, right? And that's usually what comes. Oh, this guy had a gun. We thought he had a gun under his blanket, or there was none of that. And as a matter of fact, they fired this guy really fast for cops, right? So they knew, based on everything that they saw with their body cams and all the information that was gathered, statements, et cetera, that what are you doing, Brody? He's bringing up. I see.
That's a bass player.
That's the bass player.
But he doesn't have a beard.
Yeah, no beard. What's up with that, man?
What's up with that?
Yeah, that's
how are you going to compare me to a no beard having bass player?
Yeah, I mean ZZ Top, I could definitely see any member of ZZ Top except for the drummer.
Any member.
Yeah. So there you go. LVA, welcome. Nice to have you in here. We're having a great discussion on an unfortunate murder that happened via cop in LaSalle, Colorado. Well, innocent until proven guilty, right? But we all saw the video. I didn't show you guys.
No, he's not innocent until proven guilty. He's guilty. We saw it. He shot him and he killed him.
In here, I think all cops are guilty they're just guilty. This is the court of public opinion.
No, I'm not that way.
Yeah, I don't think that they're always guilty. It's just unfortunate that the majority of the time they seem to be when they do stupid crap like this. But you don't kill somebody over a bad paint job.
Yeah.
Or the fact that you didn't like the way he was parked and that he backed in his vehicle. That's not a reason to shoot and kill somebody because you thought that the paint job was unprofessional.
In a weird way, I can almost see where press your mind went with all the circumstantial things that led up to the unfortunate circumstance, but in my mind, I always try to look at the good in people. I could never be a cop for that reason, because I'm always thinking that people are good by nature, because we wouldn't be here. What is it, 8 billion strong if we weren't good for the most part. I know there's bad apples, but we wouldn't be here if everybody was just a raging lunatic and criminal. We just wouldn't be here as a society. So that's my mindset on going with all of this. And I try to do that. I try to put myself in other people's shoes as much as possible. I know it's kind of tough, and I'm slightly biased because of all the anecdotal evidence that I've gathered up over the years and that I've seen and that have happened to me personally. But I am an optimist after all. Like, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I can affect at least some incremental change in the way that cops handle their business and the way that we handle the cops. You know what I'm saying? So it's not all doom and gloom. It's not.
No, it's not.
MLH, there are some people that are just joining the chat. Would you mind bringing up that video again and letting them see this, please?
Yeah, we will do it one more time. I'm going to rewind it, and for everybody just joining, we're talking about an unfortunate situation that happened in LaSalle, Colorado, where two cops, and you can plainly see they did conspire. I don't think there's any untruth. They're what happened. But here's the video in its entirety. It's basically, to give a rundown, it's a couple of cops that conspire, and eventually one of them shoots and kills, as far as we know, an innocent guy. So here it is. I'm not going to play it in its entirety because there is a shooting here. I will not show you guys the shooting. I don't want to get shut down by YouTube, and I don't want to traumatize everybody. But if you are interested, I will put the link in to the chat so you can see the video in its absolute entirety.
I think it's bullshit that we can't show.
Okay, hold on so they can see this.
Okay, hold on. All right, Ellie, mute. What were you saying, Press?
Oh, I think it's bullshit that we can't show. If they can do it in public, if they can shoot that guy in public, we should be able to show it on YouTube.
I totally agree. It's a problem that I have with lamestream media here, Press. Like in other countries, like for instance, if there's a shooting or a decapitation in Mexico, it's on the front page, and I think we should be able to also see that type of stuff because not for desensitivity purposes, but to see reality, right? So I fully agree with you. I totally agree with you, but unfortunately, these are the rules that we have to play by. So I mean,
it can be played. It just won't be monetized.
Well, that and it's not like I make a shit ton of money on monetization, but there is a little bit of money that helps me feed homeless people sometimes, every so often. So I don't want to jeopardize that, and I don't want any complaints, which can cause me issues and stuff like that. So here we go.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it can be played, but there's consequences to it.
Right, and I'm not willing to deal with the consequences.
Right.
So here we go. Here's the video almost in its entirety. So Cajun Randy, I know you were interested. Here you go.
Cherokee Nation, Oklahoma. I'll go to clearance.
How dare you, keeper?
865 clearance. Can you clear a Oklahoma plate?
That's fresh paint too. That's roll on.
I can smell it. See anything in there?
There's some blankets.
I saw blankets. That's access. Copy. We'll get you a hint. That's going to be a negative. Yeah. They used to be red.
What does it come back on?
Nothing. It's like it doesn't come back to anything. That's what he said.
So what are you going to do?
Two things I can do. We can, right now it's parked. Double parked. So we've got a complaint so we could tow it. Or if we wanted to be nice, leave a 72-hour tag on it. We'll go that route, but in this case.
How about this? car up right in front of it and let's go see if they're inside.
I could do that. For sure.
I'm gonna say it now. That training officer is responsible for that guy's death. I'm sorry. I mean, that's the way that I see it. But let's just finish the video. Sorry, guys. It just irks me like it irks Ellie and a lot of other people. But
Roller being shot on a car, that headlight,
Mhm.
that's suspicious.
Yeah.
I have every reason to start questioning somebody about that because that's against DOD.
Hello. Got a quick question for you.
Yes.
Did you see that white Dodge Magnum parked out there?
I did not.
Okay. Did anybody know if your employees drive a like Dodge Magnum?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, it's around a good time.
I don't. Well, just right now, we just noticed it right now, so
Oh, okay.
it hasn't been that long. I would say.
Oh,
Cool. Employees don't own any kind of car like that, so let's start asking people. Okay. Let's go see these guys. This guy's walking away. Did you see that? Yeah. Keep an eye out. There you go.
There it goes. Just got the Sally 6'5" hunting suit. Go.
He's still in here. Where'd he go?
all right, that's all I'm gonna show. If you want to see the rest, I put the link into chat. But what happens right after that is just.
I mean, can you actually see him get shot?
Yes, you can.
I mean, you can see the gun go off, right? But
No, actually, you
No,
don't see him actually hitting it. But it just as a rule of thumb, it's not a good idea to
I'm
show
just
that
wondering-
because they have rules.
no, I was just wondering.
Yeah. No, you don't see them. Like, you see the 4 bullets go into the car, but the window tinting is a little too dark and you can't see him. But it's just John DeNicola, welcome. I see you snuck in there, man. Nice to have you in there.
Yeah,
King
and I
Vito-
didn't catch it the first time. That was actually a Cherokee Nation,
Yeah, I
Like-
heard it the second
like-
time too,
like-
Red Dogs.
Yeah.
which means
And-
he is a native Indian from eastern Oklahoma.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to read chat. Giddy like a little girl, George Daly's hit. They were both giddy. That's what really sucks about this. Actually, the whole thing sucks, in my opinion. I just I have a deep empathy for people, and it hurts to see shit like this. This is partially why I do the things that I do. I don't consider myself a 1A guy, right? I consider myself a jack of all trades. So I do many things. I don't do just one thing. So for me, this hurts my heart because even though I didn't know this guy, I know this guy didn't deserve what he got, right? I don't care if he ended up being a criminal, which there was no indication of that whatsoever. It just, to me, I've seen this play out too many times with too many people. And I think the bottom line is the police have to kind of rethink things, not only for the public safety, but their own safety. You know, I mean, we always talk about, or at least the cops always talk about officer safety, right? That's one of their big things, and this is a reason that KDOT and I want to do more training with police officers, because a lot of times they don't get the proper training, right? It actually starts with hiring, and that's a whole other panel that I could have, and I've already proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, at least in Aurora, Colorado, the hiring process is fucked up for police officers. So
Darlene, nobody knows why he ran.
yeah, nobody knows.
That's what I'm wondering. They haven't tried to blame the victim yet.
No, there's no victim. See, that's the weird thing in this case, press, and this is why I'm saying I'm making a logical assumption here, right? That they had nothing on this guy. He didn't have a criminal record, because you definitely would have heard about that, right? The LaSalle Police Department would have been the first people to hand that over to 9 News or 7 News or whatever, and say, look, this guy was a criminal. He had to have done something wrong, right? I mean, no.
Well, we're assuming because they usually do that,
right?
but
Right.
Well,
there's
I
been
have
a lot of
question.
attention drawn to victim blaming as of late. Maybe they aren't doing that. That doesn't mean he's not. It probably does mean that he's not a criminal, but
Right. Right.
I'm.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
my question is, they had right before you hear the alarms.
mhm.
Did you hear the cops say, "There he goes"?
yeah.
I did hear that, Road
And
Dog.
I never saw anybody other than
I
that
never
couple
saw
at the end of the.
anybody run. But here's, in fairness, right? There's this one little caveat in this whole thing. Cameras don't capture everything. They only capture what's right in front of them, right?
But I'm sure there's store footage.
Well, possibly. I don't believe Family Dollar exactly has the greatest, surveillance cameras. I mean,
Well, it probably shows somebody running out of the store or walking out of the store.
you're assuming that. I don't think
I'm
that
Yeah,
happens.
but they
Right.
didn't.
Most
They
stores
weren't
do
looking at. They weren't
Most
looking at
stores-
the video though, for the
No.
store when he
No.
said it. They were walking.
No,
through the
I know,
store.
but now I'm saying they
Yeah.
would have that footage now, like, you know what I mean, for the court case and stuff. Like, there's gonna be, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
When
I
they killed
understand
him,
that.
you know, those cops went in and got all the footage.
But
And
again,
Keeper, do me a favor. Don't tell MLH's secrets about the shower room.
look, here's what I'm saying. I always try to look at the good in people, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always going to assume that the guy didn't run,
But
right?
it
I'm
doesn't
always,
matter if he did. I mean,
it
running's
shouldn't
not
matter,
a crime,
right? Running is not a crime. That's
No.
exactly right. So, and driving
But it
off in
could
your
be
car
enough
is
to
not a-
detain somebody in the totality of the circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Like at that
Yeah.
point, right?
Right.
All I'm saying is like let's say that they didn't shoot him.
right.
Okay, they didn't shoot him, and all those things happened, right? And then they ended up he drove away like he did, but he didn't shoot him, and then they caught up to him, you know, later, right? Then like what would we be saying about this story? Would we be saying, man, I don't know how those cops knew, but they did know.
But again, what did this guy do that was wrong?
Right, I don't know.
You
I
know,
don't know.
See, that's what I'm
That's-
saying. Like,
That's what I'm
you-
saying too. It's kind of weird.
no, it is a weird one, press. But I'm again, I wish people would take the mindset. Let's think of the good in people, not the bad in people. Let's not assume this guy's a criminal, right? Let's assume this guy didn't do anything wrong. Let's just assume that. I'm not talking about his past, because his past shouldn't matter at all, right? I'm assuming for this particular incident, let's assume that this guy didn't do anything wrong. So in your
Well, then we
scenario,
need to talk about why he ran, because why he fled because
okay, so
that shows a lack of trust, right? Like when you're running from
Right.
the police,
right,
you know, I mean, I keep saying running, you know, but
Right.
fleeing.
but
Right.
okay, in your scenario, press, let's assume that he didn't get shot. Oh, something happened there. His camera went wayward. There you go. You're back. Okay, so let's go with your assumption. If the cops didn't shoot him, right? They go and they catch up with him later. For what? For what crime? There was
Well,
no
I mean,
crime.
at that point, they did have enough to detain him, I think.
For what? There was no.
Well, the totality of circumstances. First of all, you have
No, there
yeah,
is. There was
backs
none.
in like that,
Yeah,
right?
look,
Which, if you're a cop, you can definitely articulate, especially a training officer, that well, that's a common way to hide your license plate. Then the fresh paint job.
okay, that was
Okay.
never said. The first part that you said was never said by those cops. They never said, "Hey, he's trying to hide his plates." That's suspicious, right?
No,
So-
they
Well,
didn't have any reason to
we don't know-
detain at all.
Right.
We don't know what the cops said, like, because they're driving around, right? They're in their car. You don't
Mhm.
know what the training officer was saying to him, like, you know, like they're driving around. They're like, oh, look, see that car? It's parked way away from the entrance. Like, why would you park way away from the entrance? There's nobody parked there. Like, why would you do that? Then,
But here's another thing we're assuming.
a
You're
fresh
assuming-
job.
You're assuming that it's a fresh paint job. Why? Because the cop said he could smell it, like they say they smell weed or they smell alcohol when they
Right.
don't. We're
No,
assuming
I'm
that.
saying what the cops are going to say, right? Like,
Okay, but
they're going to
let's
easily
go one step
articulate a
further.
bunch of facts, right?
Let's
and,
go one step further. He was
enough
from
to
Oklahoma,
detain.
correct?
To talk. And once you run, then when they're already looking for you and then you run, right, flee, right, that's the main thing. Like if you see a cop and you run away, that's not enough to detain somebody. But when they're already have other facts, the totality of the circumstances, I'm not
But
defending.
what did they have?
I'm merely just, being realistic, right? I've seen enough verbal judo from cops to know that
Mhm.
this is what they do.
Right. I understand that, but
But what did they have?
that's
They
got-
had a car parked a distance away from the store, from the entrance, when nobody else is parked there. Like, why didn't you just park in the front? And then he's backed in, right? If I'm an officer, I'm going to say, well, in my experience, I'm a training officer. I've been on the department for 20 years. And usually when somebody parks way away from the entrance and they back in and they're taking up 2 spaces, they're trying to hide something. And then when I went up to it on further investigation, I smell a fresh paint job, which a lot of times means that it's a stolen vehicle. And then so I investigated further, and then when I went into the store, then somebody the alarm went off, the back door opened, which tells me that somebody's trying to run away. And then my car was in front of their car, and generally when somebody's not doing anything wrong, they don't.
you wouldn't
drive
assume
away.
you would not have assumed
Okay.
that there may be a fire that occurred, or maybe there was a mass shooter in the store, or
But
something
the
of that.
MLH.
Yeah.
Let's back
Well,
up.
those are
Let's
great
back up to
questions
the
from
beginning.
the defense attorney. But I'm pretending to be the cop, remember?
Pick the other one, MLH, the one next to you.
Let's back up to the beginning there. The beginning
Uh-huh.
is they ran the plate. Correct?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they ran the plate, and it
And
came
it
back
came back
nothing.
as nothing.
Right.
So that right there eliminates your stolen car theory.
No, I'm not sure of what that means. That could mean that somebody doesn't have, like, they're not in the system.
It could, but you're assuming.
Right.
No, it could mean that they're like a police officer, or like I'm not sure what that means exactly. Like it could have been lost in translation or like something. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what that meant exactly. The officer would have to explain that. Like I'm not saying it means
Right.
that it was a stolen car
You're
or not
you're-
registered, but
you're
like
doing
somebody
you're-
in the chat said that their car comes back nothing too, because they were like, if you work at a prison or if you work, as a police officer, then your plate, like it
Okay,
doesn't come
but-
back anything, no details. Or anything.
But
right.
Did you catch what I just said earlier about it being a Cherokee Nation vehicle?
I
That means
did
the guy
catch that.
he lived on the reserve for the Native Indians for Cherokee Nation. So it's a Cherokee Nation plate. It's not going to come back. It's going to come back as nothing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
That's why I made the comment about, oh, wow, I didn't catch that the first time. It was a Cherokee Nation. That means he's Native Indian living on the reserve.
yeah. So here's my bottom line, right? And then I'm going to go around the horn because it's getting late, and I really enjoy the discussion, Press. I love it when people play devil's advocate, but I think there was in this case there's just a lot of mental gymnastics going on there, and it's a stretch to believe that these cops had the foresight to talk about this shit before they got on scene, right? So I mean, I can make the logical assumption that these guys were not talking about that. They were not discussing this in particular before they got to that scene. As a matter of fact, there's evidence to back that, because when they got in, it was, it wasn't long, right? So by their own words, their own admission, they didn't have time to think about those type of things.
And they
right?
didn't have a complaint. That proves
Right.
there
There was no
They
complaint.
said they had a complaint. How do you know there was no complaint?
How
Because
do we know?
he went into the store and asked them how long has it been parked there, blah, blah,
Yes.
Well, he
blah.
asked
As
that
if
once,
they had, and the lady was like, I have no idea. I didn't even know it was out there.
Right. So there was no complaint. Nobody
well, no
complained
complaint
about
from the store. But
It was the only store. It was that store's parking lot. There was no other store attached to it.
Right. There was
right,
no-
well, maybe like some Karen complained, like a Karen or a Darren. I mean, I don't know. Like, why would
We
he
don't-
say there's a complaint if there's no complaint? That's weird.
Okay.
Because cops lie
Here's-
all the time.
Here's how,
Yeah,
how
they
I
lie
know.
all the time. I'm
Here's
not
how I
There you
know
go.
that there was no complaint, Press, because they didn't say it in any press conference. They didn't leak it out that there was a complaint. There's nothing to indicate that there actually was a complaint. There's only the cop, which we've already said, and it's been proven they can lie without repercussion, which was a horrible precedent set by the Supreme Court, which is another panel that I'm going to do at some point about the repercussions of cops being able to lie, whether it's detectives or regular cops in general, and that right there, I think, causes a lot of the dissension between the police and the public, and that's a whole other discussion. Go ahead, Ellie.
And even a Karen is going to what? Call and say there's a bad paint job on this car? No. At
No.
best, what you're going to
But a
get.
Karen might call and say there's somebody taking up parking.
Okay, so, and I knew that that's what you were going to say. And here's the other thing. First of all, the vehicle was parked behind, so it didn't bother anybody. And so
Wait,
why would a Karen care? And
Karen
here's the
cares.
other thing. When Karen calls, the dispatch is going to say, and
No, they're going to say we're going to send two.
no, they're not going to send somebody out. And Karen would have been there. Karen would have been happy to be there. Karen's want attention.
Yeah.
They pulled up and they said that they thought that, first of all, that they said that the car was double parked. That car was not double parked. So there's the first thing wrong. Then, you all right there? Then he said that it had a bad paint job. Okay, well, that's a matter of interpretation on whether you think it was a bad paint job or not. Okay, you're assuming that he says, oh, you can even smell it, that there was a smell, just like when they make stuff up and say, oh, I smell alcohol, and people are like, no, you don't, and they blow and they're perfectly clean. So another lie. Then you had to double check, was it really parked wrong? Because remember, when he said it was double parked wrong, then he went on the other side when they were talking about what they were going to do, and then he's like, let me check, and he goes, yeah, it's double parked, which wasn't. It was straddle parked. Okay. Then you had no idea where the guy was or anything that he was doing. And when they went in, nobody in the store or the employee didn't know anything about it. So there was no call. He would have said, hey, are you the one that called? He didn't say, are you the one that called? They're always going to know who called. He didn't say, hey, were you the one who called us about the car out there? All he said was, hey, do you know about that red? Oh, no, I'm sorry. White Cherokee that's out back? And she's like, no. And he's like, do you know if it's one of your employees? And she's like, no. Why? Has it been there a while? Oh no, it's just there. We don't know. He would have said, well, somebody called us.
Right.
Right.
So I think the totality of everything says that there was no complaint there, Press. That's what we're saying. Like there's a
I agree. I'm just wondering if it's like a fact that we know.
well, I mean,
I,
based on
I agree there probably was not a complaint.
there's
Well, I'm
probably-
sure the news would have reported that police were acting on a tip or a 911 call or a complaint. It would have started like that,
yeah.
and it did not.
So,
So
there's a totality of assumptions, either wrongly or rightly. But I think in this case, I think we can say with almost certainty that there was no complaint based on the facts surrounding the entire scenario, right? So based on that, right, and then this is what people go through when they go through cases and they have to put a case together. I mean, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that leads up to a conclusion, right? So based on all of that, I think we can safely assume that there was no complaint there. So I don't think that's I would venture to say, if I was a betting man, I would put everything in my bank account that there was no complaint. And as a matter of fact, I think we can figure out that information. I'll try to get back with you on that. But LaSalle's like an hour and probably 15 minutes away from, or a little bit longer, I think, away from where I'm at. Maybe I can talk to somebody in Greeley or in the surrounding area over there and actually have somebody actually put in that FOIA request, because it would be interesting to know with certainty if there was a complaint, which I can almost assure you there was not.
Actually, you don't even have to go. I'm sure they prefer you do that online.
I started to say
Yeah.
just do it online and have
I
it
don't
sent to
do
your
anything
email.
online. I don't do anything online. I do everything in person, because I've had several times where I put in requests that, and you guys know this from my videos. I'm always there putting in the request in person, because not only can I make a video of it and hold people accountable, but I have proof that I actually handed in a piece of paper to a person, and they can give me a copy of that. It's what I do. This is a cornerstone.
But Darlene brought up a good point.
Yeah.
She finds it real odd that why did they not have the owner of that car paged to the front of the store, and they're going through the store looking for somebody. They don't even know what he looks like.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I mean, I don't think it
That
was
is a
up
good
to the
point.
store manager or whoever she was to do that, but I think that might have been a proper thing to do. The cops could have said, "Hey, could you page whoever owns this Oklahoma plated Magnum on the side and have them come up so we can talk about their car and the way that it was parked and stuff." I mean, you don't have to say that over the intercom, but just page that person to come to the front of the store, and maybe things would have ended up different.
Yeah, well, the owner of blah, 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 blah vehicle, you left your lights on, anything you could have gotten out there. One officer could have stayed out back and waited near the car, and one goes in.
I definitely think that one officer should have stayed out.
Yeah, that would have been a kosher thing to do.
I
too,
definitely think that. Like,
I think they
that's
both should have stayed out. Actually, I think they both should have mind their own business.
I agree.
I mean,
with you,
if they're going to detain him, which they were obviously trying to do by blocking him in, right then.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they had enough to detain him.
yeah,
Right? I don't think they had enough.
right. Which why would
Until he
you,
ran, until he tried to flee
why
with
would
the
you,
totality. Then I've already said I do think at that point, then they could have chased him.
well, running
Running
isn't
isn't
against the
against the
law
law
either.
either.
So-
And that brings up
No,
the
with the
closing
totality.
argument.
What, Ellie? I'm sorry.
She
Sorry.
said, and that brings up our final thought part of it, which
Yes.
I would
Yes.
like to say my final thoughts first, if I may.
Yes, Ellie,
Yes,
go
Ellie,
ahead.
go ahead.
I find it really odd and suspicious, if we want to use that word of the day, suspicious, that if in this country you are innocent until proven guilty, why is it that everybody or people want to look to what the victim did wrong versus what the cops did wrong. Why is it justifying why he left the store or why he was, trying to flee? In your case, to me, he was just leaving. Why he was fleeing. Why does that have to be justified when you already saw that A, there wasn't a complaint, B, they boxed him in without having any probable cause, C, they giggled and laughed about what they could do and decided, nope, we're going to make him stay here and he's going to be forced to do it without any crime. And then to pull a gun out without even seeing the person and running through the store while you have other people in there with a gun. Why does the victim have to explain anything? He's not the one on trial here. The police officer is. He lost his life. Let's say he did steal the car. Who cares? That doesn't give the police the right to be judge, jury, and executioner, let alone you're going under your assumption you think that is. So you're going to punish him and pull that gun out. You didn't know he was running. You didn't know he was trying to flee. You didn't know. You knew that you blocked his car in, or you thought you blocked his car in, okay, and that he couldn't get out. So if that was the case, you had no reason to pull your weapon. And even a stolen vehicle is not a reason to pull your weapon. I understand what you're saying, and I try to always be the jury. And in this case, I'm doing the same thing, and it just breaks my heart that it's trying to look for what the victim could have done, should have done, so this wouldn't have happened, instead of the fact that the cops overreached and used excessive force when they had no right to do so. I am just so angry about this. I'm just as angry as I was when I first saw it now, that I'm not calming down from it, because it's just not right.
Right.
And for the media to sit there and constantly say that, to misrepresent that he was double parked. Nobody in that chat could sit there and say that man was double parked, because that's not what the definition of double parked was. He was on private property that has public access to it. But the cops have no jurisdiction or power to go do that unless the store complained, which they didn't, because they would have said, are you the one who complained? We're looking for this, or this is odd. But you didn't. And then you should have gone straight into the store to say, hey, what's going on? Instead of checking out, looking in the vehicle, running the plate, to do all that stuff to assume something because you didn't like the way it was painted. No, but you're assuming that everything, that it's freshly painted and this looks odd and this looks odd. It doesn't look odd. It was a shitty paint job. I've gotten several shitty paint jobs after an accident, or go to a different company because I thought they'd save more money. We shouldn't have to automatically assume because he's a cop that we have to look for justification on why he did it. But that's what we're doing. And it's wrong to do that. The man is dead. He was a father. He was a husband. He was a son. He was an uncle. He was a man that deserved to have the same rights afforded that the police officers are. But yet that man who's accused of second-degree murder is out of jail on a $50,000 bail that only needed 10% of that. And he's being represented to say, oh, well, he feared for his life. For what? You had 2 guns pointed at him. There's no fear for your life in that. But, to sit here and justify this, I find, as much as I respect you, I find it insulting that, to reach that far when you have these cops deciding what they're going to do in this man's fate. And the minute they pulled that gun out, they knew that they were going to shoot somebody. They knew that. They wanted that power. They giggled it. Oh, we could do this. Oh, yeah, that's a better. Ha ha. We're going to trap him in here and he's going to talk to us and we're going to go there. Something is wrong when we do that.
Yeah.
That's my final thought.
Okay. I appreciate that, Ellie. I don't have much disagreement in there. Let's go with Press. What are your final thoughts, Press? I'll give you the floor to, say what you want.
Well, first off, I think that this is a great video that you showed, and you really, I thank you, Ellie, for bringing this to my attention. I didn't know about it, right? And you, MLH, for the panel and everything. And I sense that Ellie thinks that I'm trying to justify the police, which I'm not. I think that he definitely murdered him, and he had no justification to shoot. And
Well, here's my question to you. Do you think if that was you
Hey,
and you shot and killed somebody and you were being
Ellie.
charged with second-degree murder, do you think your bail would be set at $50,000?
no,
no, I was going to get to that too.
yeah. Let him finish his thought, Ellie.
Yeah, I agree with you also, Ellie, that we shouldn't be blaming the victim, and you said, you know what, why has it gotten to this point where we're trying to do mental gymnastics or something? I'm kind of paraphrasing, to figure out why the police did what they did, and that is the world that we live in, right? And I don't know how it got to this point, right, where police officers are just trusted right away, you know, and that definitely needs to change. You know, I think that my channel and you and MLH and everybody that's doing this is also trying to fight that same logic, you know. And again, I'm not trying to blame the victim. He didn't deserve what he got at all, right? There was no justification for that. I have engaged in a thought experiment of sorts, right? If the shooting never happened, what would we be saying about these cops? You know, I think that the bail is ridiculously low, right? And in 5 or 10 years ago, murderers were definitely wouldn't be getting out on bail like that. Cops would. Now you say, I don't know what a bail would be. It depends on what city you're in. If you're in like Chicago or New York or LA, they're letting murderers out same day with no bail, right? So I don't know, but there's definitely some unfair treatment for the police. That's for sure. And you know, once again, I'll say, Ellie, that I'm not defending the cops at all, right? There is no justification to shoot at all. He was definitely murdered.
Yeah.
You know.
All right.
I'll end it with that. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. I want to just reply to one thing for you, and I knew exactly what you're doing, so I don't mean any heat because you know I love you. But I just looked up what the bail for second-degree murder should be in Colorado, and it says that it starts at $250,000. So isn't that a little odd that it's only $50,000?
That is a little odd, but not really odd at the same time, because we all know that police get.
It's because of the badge.
Yeah.
Okay, you press. I appreciate your thoughts, and you're welcome anytime I have a panel, which is very rare.
Yeah, I've never seen you have one.
Yeah, well, I do from time to time. It just, you know, I'm really afraid of somebody porn bombing and causing me issues in that form of fashion. But from time to time, I will have a panel that involves some people, mostly invited people. But today was kind of an open panel, so I do appreciate you being up here, Road Dog. Your final thoughts, and then I'll give my final thoughts.
Pretty much Ellie covered everything I wanted to say. But I do want to add, press, kind of give you an idea. The CNN news article that they released, the exact headline was, video shows Colorado officer fatally shooting man trying to flee in suspicious vehicle.
Yeah, it's like
that's their actual headline, word for word.
You can't make this.
If you would like, I will drop the link to it. It actually has a video attached to it as well.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
I can go ahead. I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat for you, so you can actually look at it.
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
yeah,
I will say CNN speaks in code. Okay,
Yeah.
you have to be able to speak WASP, which, in case you don't know what that is, that's White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and that title right there. Anybody who speaks WASP knows they would raise their eyebrow at that title right away, right? Because they know that a suspicious vehicle, fleeing in a suspicious vehicle, is not a crime.
Right. Right. Okay. Here's my final thoughts. There's going to be plenty more of these discussions on this channel. Mostly I do closed panels because of the aforementioned porn bombing bullshit that goes onto YouTube and the drama and all that. But what I always say is the drama is always in the camera, right? I don't want drama on the channel, and I'm pretty proud of what I've done with this channel, and I'm proud of what I do, and I'm proud to have people like Press and Ellie and Road Dog and everybody in chat listen, because it's really important to bring to you guys these stories, right? We don't at least I don't do this just for shits and giggles. I don't do this for the attention. I mean, I've been accused of everything under the sun, clicks and views and all of that, but in reality, my only agenda is to help the people of Denver and the Denver metro area, and by extension nationwide, because if I can be an example to anybody else, and even if one person can take what I do and carry that torch wherever they are, then that's really the whole point of the whole thing. You know, I think I would consider myself an activist more than almost anything I do here, even though I'm a jack of all trades. But in this particular incident, I think it's tragic. I think we all should take time to reflect and to act accordingly. I don't want people to get violent. I want people to use their logic, and I want people also to think about common sense. And sometimes those two things are at odds, but we have to come to some sort of consensus as a people, because if we don't, this nation's in a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. And I think that I think we have the means to make even some incremental changes wherever you are. In my case, I'm here in the Denver metro area, so that encompasses just a huge area with millions of people that I feel for. And I think in the grand scheme of things, I think it's up to each of us to keep doing what we're doing, to always have your cameras rolling when you're in the presence of police, because of everything that we've seen in any other video. And I think staying vigilant is the way to be, and keep your head up. And I know mentally it can be exhausting. I know mentally there's a lot of issues with mental health in this country, and it extends to not only the people of Denver, but nationwide, worldwide. And it also extends into the world of policing. And I think we need to put a spotlight on that way more often. I think this cop in particular was a loose cannon, and things have to change. And it starts with the hiring process. I guarantee if we hired better people to do the job, it would be a great start into changing our perception of our relationships with officers and vice versa. So those are my final thoughts, and I know that they're not complete, but at least it'll give people some stuff to chew on and think about in the upcoming days. Now, as far as the schedule goes, tomorrow.
Before you do that, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. One thing that I want people to think of is if this officer, and I say if because sadly we need to, if this officer is convicted of this second-degree murder and the jury finds that he is, what do you think his punishment will be in relation to what anybody else is? So I took the liberty to look up Colorado specifically, what is the sentence guideline for second degree? And it says for second degree murder, it would be, hold on, where did I just have it? Up to $1 million in fines and 48 years in prison. Who thinks this cop's going to get 40 years? Because I'm going with he's getting less than 2.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say he'll be lucky to get 48 months.
Yeah. I don't want to make the assumption, because then I'm doing the same thing that I always fight against. But honestly, I agree with you guys. I think it's gonna, if he even gets convicted, I don't think he's gonna suffer any major time. I actually think in some weird way he's gonna get exonerated, which is ridiculous. So all right, so here's the schedule upcoming, guys. Tomorrow I do a show called RP Grinders. I do it every Friday, 7 Eastern time, twitch.tv/RP Grinders. It's basically nerdy video games, some political talk. If you don't like the video game stuff, just join the second half, and that's where we do a lot of fun stuff. If we let's see, Saturday is the comment show. I really need more comments this week, because I don't have very many comments this week. So the only way that the comment show keeps going, it's super unique. I haven't really seen anybody on YouTube do it. It's powered by you guys and gals. So if you wouldn't mind watching a video and commenting, and whatever comment you got, I will take each and every one of those comments and respond to them. The weekends are usually reserved for anything that you guys want me to do. So if you have something that you want me to do on a weekend, like, I don't know, take a drive to Red Rocks or audit. I don't do post offices, so I'm not going to do that. But if there's a naughty library, I know, Ellie, that's not what you want me to do, is go to libraries, but it is part of what I do. And I found a lot of corruption in libraries in different ways. So if there's a police station or a prison or something of that nature that you guys want me to do, make sure that you leave me an email, mexicanlonghair@gmail.com. I'll try to accommodate. I can't promise I will. I don't just jump when somebody says jump. I'm very calculated in what I do, so I have to think about it, but most likely I will fulfill those requests. Mondays and Wednesdays is usually cop watching or homeless outreach. So I'm going to try to do homeless outreach within the next couple of weeks, because in about 2 weeks time, I'll be in Vegas with Bernie, celebrating my mom and dad's 50th anniversary. So for that whole week, I think I'm just going to chill, not do anything. Tuesdays is Hot Tub on Bernie's channel, so make sure you subscribe to Bernie's channel. We have a great time there. We make naughty lyrics out of your favorite tunes. So if it's something you're interested in and you're an adult, make sure you join us on Tuesdays, 9 Eastern on Bernie's channel. So, and Thursdays, I'm completely off. I don't do anything on Thursdays. All right.
Can I say 2 quick things?
Absolutely.
One, I think that he'll get 10 years. I think 48 years is absolutely insanity. The second thing is, if you go to libraries, I've gone to a few, see if you can find a constitution in there, because you won't.
Huh, that's
you will not
interesting.
find a constitution in the library. They will direct you eventually, maybe, to like some big thick book where they explain the Constitution.
Right.
But the actual Constitution is a ghost, and they will probably call it a historical document. They will say, "Oh, we don't have a historical section here."
Oh, you mean like they won't have the Constitution posted in the library? Yeah, I don't.
Not posted, like even the pamphlet. You know what I mean? Like they will not have it.
Huh.
It won't be there. Like you can't just check out the Constitution, right? Yeah. Or buy like a, like I have a pocket Constitution.
Right.
Right. I've gone to a few libraries and tried to find it. It's a total conspiracy.
I used to have a metal one. So it's like Penn and Teller. Like Penn used to carry a metal one in his pocket. So when he would go through airports, the metal detector would go off, and inevitably they would find the Constitution in his pocket, and he could say, this is the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I always thought that was really neat. So I used to have one, and I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, good point. Okay. I'm gonna end with this. I always do this, and this is a great opportunity to do it again. If you're struggling with your own mental health, please make sure you reach out to somebody that you know, love, and trust. In lieu of that, my email is mexicanlonghair@gmail.com. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a counselor, but I do listen, and sometimes that's all that matters. But if I don't get back to you in a timely fashion, just remember, somebody out there thinks you're their favorite. Hold on to that thought. It could save your life. There are national hotline numbers here in the United States. You can dial 988, and that will get you connected with a professional if you'd rather talk to a professional. If you are not inclined to talk to somebody and you want to text somebody, you can also use 988. And there are a plethora of options, no matter which country you're in. Just put in your browser of choice, whether it be Firefox, Chrome, Safari, mental health help, and you hit enter, and it will bring up a litany of options for you. Don't do anything rational. Make sure you talk to somebody first. Okay, 811 in Canada, Keeper says. Thank you very much, Canada. Appreciate that. Matthew, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in chat. And most importantly, I appreciate my panelist, Road Dog. I really appreciate you being here. Nice to talk to you. Ellie, it was a pleasure as always. And of course, Press Harder, thank you for being up here and enjoying the show and contributing in a great fashion. I really appreciate the discussion. I appreciate everybody in chat. Make sure you tell everybody about what you heard here, and point them to this video if you want to continue the discussion, and make sure you comment. And that's about it. Anybody else got anything? No? Okay.
I do.
All right.
Not.
You do not. Ellie, nothing else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. See you on the next video. Thank you very much.